All right, what is going on? Welcome to episode number 1 of Googus and Friends, my brand new podcast here on youtube.com/Googus12. So today is kind of going to be an introduction episode. I got my buddy Chris alongside me. Say hi.
How you doing, people?
So basically this podcast is going to be myself, and Chris will probably be on a lot, and it's just going to be, me and my friends talking, just kind of hanging out. And just whatever we talk about is what we talk about. We'll probably have a few different topics that we want to hit on during the show, but everything else is just kind of going to be us rambling on about whatever. Maybe some would you rathers, maybe some fun stories that you guys have never heard from young Googus 12's life. And they're probably going to be about an hour long. And just a quick note on the production of this video. It's just me here, and I've got my logo in the background. The production quality will probably get a little better. We'll probably get video of everyone else's feed coming soon. But just for the first couple episodes, we're going to do it like this and see how it goes. And I guess with that said, Chris, you got a first topic for us?
Honestly, one of the things that I can only think about right now is the fact that I am allergic to apples, which I think I'm the only person in the world. My throat legitimately feels like it's closing. Let me explain to you something. Like, every time I eat an apple, specifically from the dining hall, I eat it. And I used to just eat around, like, the core in general. But what wound up happening is I was like, well, there's a little more to the apple I can indulge in. And, like, I read online, like, the seeds aren't bad for you, and it's like, whatever. Like, basically, you can eat every part of an apple except for the stem. Like, well, you can eat the stem, but, like, that's just, why would you? So, regardless, like, every time I eat an apple, specifically from the dining hall, my throat kind of, like, gets, like, itchy, and I have to drink a lot of water, and it kind of, like, I lose my appetite. And I kept thinking, like, oh, it's got to be, like, the wax on it. Because I'm, like, you're supposed to, like, you're supposed to wash your fruit before, like, you eat it, right?
Right.
So, like, I would never do that because I'm lazy, so I just eat it.
I feel like many people don't do that. Either that or it's like us don't do that, and everyone in the comments is just like, you guys are fucking ridiculous. Like, of course.
All two people in the comments are like, you fucking idiots! But regardless, I just wish that I, like, had done, like, a control, because what happened is I was gonna eat the apple, and I'm like, let me wash it first. And so I went and I just washed it under the sink before I ate it. But then I remember that, like, this is my school's tap water.
Yeah, right.
Which, like, I don't even drink out of the faucet. Like, I run it through the Brita and then I drink it. So then the same thing happened, and I was like, well, I'm sure it's not the water. I don't think, like, if the water was legitimately making my throat close, I think we have a bigger issue here.
Yeah.
But I just wonder, because, like, I haven't done it with other apples. Like, I feel like I need to go to an apple, pick one off a tree, and eat it, and then come here and eat one.
I feel like I feel like a couple years ago we had this conversation about you being allergic to apples, but you wouldn't stop eating them.
Do you know what it was? It was cherries.
That was cherries? Oh, I like cherries. It down. Cherries are yummy.
I think it was just this one time. I think it was the no washing, because I ate a lot of cherries. Like, I probably ate like a pound. Like, I ate like a fair amount.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, like, my throat just got really, like, dry and raspy, almost the same thing, but it felt, like, drier.
Yeah.
And then I went to the doctor, and I tried to tell them, and they literally were just like, no, you're not. Like, that was my medical diagnostic.
No,
I was like,
hey,
I'm allergic. Exactly. I was like, I'm allergic to cherries, I feel like. And they're like, that's unlikely. Do you want the allergy test? And I'm like, no, I don't think that's necessary. And they're like, why? I'm like, well, because when I eat cherries, my throat hurts. And they're like, okay, just stay away from cherries. I'm like, all right, fine. I guess no more cherries for me. So I haven't had a regular cherry, or I shouldn't say that. I haven't had a cherry as, like, a snack, like, more than a handful since then, which was 4 or 5 years ago.
I'm a big cherry fan. They're pretty good.
I
also
honestly
like apples. Those are probably two of my top fruits on the hierarchy of fruits. Apples and cherries. They're way up there.
Apples are tough because apples are totally diverse. Like, you know how many different types of apples there are?
And there's so many different ways you can eat an apple as well.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, there's one way to eat an apple.
No.
There's many ways to prepare an apple.
Oh my God, you knew that's what I meant, but no, just
I know that's what you meant, but you can say that about anything, because think about like you can eat chicken, but there's a million different ways to prepare, like, chicken with salt.
Fair
chicken
point,
without
but
salt.
like, what are you gonna do with cherries? Like, how are you gonna prepare cherries differently?
cherry pie, cherry tart.
So cherry
Uh,
pie and cherry pie in a different form. What's the difference between a tart
let's
and a pie?
a tart is essentially like I believe it's wrapped. Like so like a tart would be the pie filling, but instead of you slice it, it's wrapped up. Like it's like you know what a Pop Tart? Like imagine a Pop Tart, but it was made like by a real pastry chef. So the outside's flaky and the inside's like a real like cherry compote or something.
But isn't that just a Danish?
I believe a Danish is slightly different. I believe a
Chris is the
Danish
resident food expert here.
Chris is the resident pastry chef, actually. I don't know. That's an interesting question. All those fucking pastries, actually, like
Yeah.
Danishes and tarts, and like I thought Danishes had to be cheese. That was my impression.
I don't. No, because there's such thing as a cheese Danish, and other there's like that's just one type of Danish. Like there's all sorts of Danish.
But I feel that's the classic, and I feel like when something is made classically, like that's the way it was intended to.
I don't think that's necessarily true, is it? That cheese is like
it depends on what you feel, because like okay, let's start with cake. Like cake is cake, and there's always chocolate, vanilla, like whatever. Like there's a million different ways to make a cake. So there's no one would ever say like what's your traditional cake, because it probably depends what you grew up with.
Right.
But like if you're talking about something specific, like a Danish, right?
Yeah.
There was probably like a country or a store or whatever that made Danishes and made them one way, and then it got adapted into different people tried different things. But like if I go to like I'm guessing
Those
Danish.
Stupid Danes out there.
I'm guessing Danishes originate from. I was gonna say Holland. You're right. Probably Denmark.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people from Denmark. I didn't mean to call you stupid.
But yeah, that'd be so funny if like this first episode goes end up on like one of the Snapchat things. Like, what did this local YouTuber say about the Danish?
What did this local YouTuber say about the Danes and their food?
The Danish who's the soccer player that's Danish? It's Christian Eriksen, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Who else? No, Shaqiri is Swede. No, he's not Swedish. He's from Switzerland.
Yeah, he's Swiss.
Who's the other? There's another good Danish soccer player that I am forgetting.
Is there? I know Christian Eriksen's like the one who carries that team.
Yes, but I could have sworn. I know there's a young kid at I think Real who's Danish, who's a holding midfielder who's actually very good.
Oh,
But like not like a starter.
There's some.
I think it's Care. It's Care. Like his name's like KJAER, but it's that weird A and E where I think he was a real.
Yeah, it's foreign. Point. It's foreign, so therefore it's not real to us.
Dude, the fact when you think about it, like abstractly, the whole concept of language is kind of fucking weird. Yeah. Like there's a million different sounds you can make, and they all can mean different things. But all it is just vibrations of molecules.
Yeah, it's all just saliva and the flapping of our lips.
It's all just the mucus. I always hated that. That was to me the worst part of like high school. Was like I remember that whenever I would get sick, I would never get sick enough to like actually stay home from school. Usually, I would always be sick enough where like I would be like literally like I would probably produce a pound of just like mucus and phlegm in a day.
Right.
Like I vividly remember sophomore year taking a bio test, and I because I wore a sweatshirt and a pair of shorts to school every day.
You were that kid. You were that kid in the wintertime who wouldn't wear a coat but would walk outside in like a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah, like that. But you know what the weird
thing was? And
everyone
would be like, everyone will be bundled up and be like, Chris, how are you not freezing? You're like, oh, I got a beanie on.
You know what's really funny? What's hilarious is that today I was sitting at the house just shooting shit, and I felt cold, and I just put the beanie on, and I actually felt 100 like all over my body. I think it's my ears. I think if my ears are warm, I can kind of deal with everything else. Like my nose being cold, my fingers being cold, my legs, and like I can deal with everything being cold. I think except
I hate being cold.
My ears.
I hate it.
Well, being cold is weird because, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but it's like when you've been cold, I feel like as an athlete, I feel like stuff doesn't compare. Like I remember I had to practice. We had an hour-long practice for lacrosse in the snow, and I don't mean like it was flaking. Like I mean kids were like. Yeah, like our sticks were fucked. Like we came inside and I was just a block of ice.
Right.
And so like I remember that because like that's to me like one of the coldest I have ever been.
Yeah.
And so it's like I can kind of like go back to that in a weird way. Like I can like play.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I think some people are just like warm-blooded though. Like, you know, like
I think all of us are warm-blooded.
No, but like you know what yeah, like
no, some people just don't get cold.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean this as a gross generalization, but like most girls just get colder more easily than most guys.
Really? I never noticed that.
Like I will say this, like if we go out and it's like a couple of us and like someone would bring a girl, the girl would always be consistently like the one that would complain about the coldness. And I don't know if it was a talking point or if I don't know if it was what it was, but like I can use it with my mom. Like my mom is just always cold, like just consistently. Like it doesn't matter. We used to make fun of her all the time, but like she is consistently always cold, and it doesn't really matter what it is because just she's always cold. Ooh, excuse me. She's always cold relative to something. Like if we're in Florida. Ooh, excuse me again. If we're in Florida,
yeah,
we used to vacation there, and there'd be a night that dropped to 60. Like somehow she'd instantly adjust, and she would need a sweatshirt.
That's weird.
Yeah, because you know how like once it hits winter, like you kind of adjust, and those 50-degree days feel like 80-degree days, but it's because you're kind of acclimated.
When you get excited when you look at the temperature and it's 50.
It's exactly.
Like, today's gonna be warm.
Oh, dude, all you need is the sun. I will say this: no cold day feels better. It's wind.
The sun makes
really
everything better.
I would agree. I would say the sun's pretty rad.
Pretty rad, bruh.
Pretty
bro,
rad.
The sun's pretty sick.
Dude, speaking of rad, I told this to every time I see a skateboarder, like just either like at college or just in general, I just always assume their name is Kyle and they have a stepdad that they hate whose name is like Derek.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always what or Randy.
Randy.
Or Randy.
Yes,
Randy the stepdad.
Yeah.
Randy the like dream crushing stepdad.
Yeah.
Who's like, Kyle, I'm banging your mom. There's nothing you could do about it. He's like, fuck you, Randy. I'm on a longboard from here to LA. And he just hops on, just practices a kickflip for like 2 hours. He's like, fuck you, Randy. He's just crying to himself.
Music in the background.
Yeah, he's got just like he's got like Bleach on by Nirvana. He's got the whole album just fucking going. He's just fucking repping to it, and he's like, "This is the only person that understands me." Kurt Cobain, you're a lyrical genius.
Why'd you have to leave us so soon?
Dude, I wanted to watch that documentary called it's called Soaked in Bleach. It's basically about the private investigator who Courtney Love hired, who actually, after looking into the case, thinks that she paid somebody or influenced Kurt to kill himself for his money.
How does she think she paid somebody? Like, how do you
think? No, the private investigator.
Oh.
She hired a private investigator to look into Kurt's death.
Oh, okay. The way you said that made it sound like she thinks that she paid somebody to kill him. Like,
let me start over. So I heard this. This was actually from JRE. He had mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a big time Nirvana fan. Like, I should check this out because I actually kind of believe
JRE
that theory.
Is the Joe Rogan Experience.
Oh yeah. And what happened is he had just mentioned it, and he goes, basically, there was a private This is my paraphrasing of Joe Rogan's paraphrasing to reiterate. So I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm hoping it is. Basically, the private investigator hired by Courtney Love. He believes that Courtney Love had a hand in the murder based on what he found when going through the case.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's it's interesting to me because, like, the one thing I always get hung up on is that he was found with, like, 3 to 4 times the lethal amount of heroin in his bloodstream. And the point of that being, which is that, granted, he probably had a really wicked tolerance for heroin, do you know what I mean? Just because he did it so often.
Yeah.
But if you had that much above the lethal dose, like, it's pretty reasonable to assume that, like, you're in a different, like, forget a different planet. Fuck, you're in a different universe. Like, you're just looking at colors and shapes.
Either he was trying to kill himself or someone was trying to kill him. That's very clear because that's not like like you go out to have some fun. You're not doing that much.
No, that's the point. So it had to have the intent, and it's like the theory I heard, which is that if he had that much heroin, he would not be able to like pick up, hold, and point a gun, let alone like continue with an action that he felt, unless he got high and just did it like immediately. But I don't know how it works with drugs where you're like actually injecting, like how instant it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
But
very experienced.
no, I'm not really either. I've never dealt. Maybe I should start doing heroin.
Yeah, let's not.
Just to prove, just to break the case back open.
Let's not promote that.
It's like, I have proof that Kurt Cobain was murdered. How? All right. First off, I need 2 ounces of heroin. I don't even know if ounces is the correct.
I was gonna say, is that the right unit
that
of measurement?
That sounds like a lot of heroin.
I would like a desk of Cheez-Its.
I would like a drum of heroin.
Oh god.
Dude, you know what's scary about those about heroin in general?
What?
Is I believe, if I'm not mistaken, heroin is like a poor man's Oxycontin, right? Like Oxycontin is what you get in the hospital and what you get, and then once you run out of Oxycontin and you have the addiction, you get to heroin, because heroin is basically street grade Oxycontin.
Sure.
That's what I know. Yeah, you just go along with me. Let's assume.
I'll just go along with this theory.
We'll assume that I am credible source on this.
Yeah, you're the resident drug expert.
I'm the resident heroin expert. So
yes, exactly.
It's be funny. So someone's like, "What qualifies you to talk about heroin?" I listened to all the Nirvana albums plus the MTV Unplugged.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
So basically, I am Kurt Cobain.
Also, this is the internet, so anything that anybody ever says is true. So
that is true.
You can't just stating this as fact.
Opinion.
Yeah.
But basically, what happened is, like, you would go from the Oxycontin down to the street heroin, and then eventually you would fucking die. Right. So what I had found out was that I had a friend who basically hurt his back really, really bad. And he was given Oxycontin legally through his fucking doctor or the whatever, like to deal with the pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened is, he had told me, is that his dad had a friend who he worked with who basically was like, hey, like, my ex-husband used to take Oxycontin to deal with, like, a lingering injury. Like, I have some extra pills. Can I give them to you? Or, like, do you want them? And the dad was just like, sure. So the dad gave them to the son. And the son, after that, was like, so, these aren't, like, my actual pills. He goes, no, these are just extra for if you run out, or, like, whatever. And what had happened is the son had actually caught, and this is what's scary, is that, like, so what they do is, because it's like anything, like, you get, like, adjusted to it, right?
Right.
So, like, you need more and more to get the same effect. And the pill that his dad had given him was actually, like, a 7th or 8th level dose, where essentially, like, that pill, if you cut it up into, like, 8 pieces, an 1/8 of that pill was the equivalent of, like, 1 or 2 of his.
Right.
So if he had eaten that pill, he would have died.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, how crazy is that someone used to, like, pop those, like, 1 or 2 a day?
Yeah, but I feel like his
then, like,
doctor must have given him different instructions, and the wife didn't know that.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, I'm sure, like, the wife, I'm sure he wasn't trying to kill him. I think it was literally just like, oh, your son's on, I have Oxycontin that I'm not going to use. Would you just like to have it? Because I'm not going to try to sell it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's also, like, I feel like that's really ignorant, though, because you don't know if it's going to be stronger or weaker unless you like, read it. You can't just assume that that's going to be the same amount as the bottle you already have.
No, you're right. Like, just, like, if you take all of the, like, the fucked upness out of the situation, at the end of the day, like, you don't know what's in something you've been given. Like, right. Pretty much anything. Like, most things you're consuming, you have no idea what's actually in them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of crazy to really think about. Like, I'm sitting here, like, I'm drinking coffee right now. Like, this coffee could be 25% urine, and I would never know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just complete trust. It's just complete trust.
It really is. Like, that's almost with anything.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know, like, all those crazy fucking, like, conspiracies about, like, chemtrails and shit, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there really isn't, like, there's probably a lot of good evidence to dispute it, but at the end of the day, it's like, there's no real way to prove it. It's like believing in, like, anything, like science or religion. Like, there's at the end of the day, like, there really is no definitive way to prove it.
Right.
And I know using science is like, oh, whatever the fuck, you don't believe in science. It's like, well, until like science has to happen like repeatedly and more trials or whatever. But it's like technically like we can't do something an infinite amount of times. Therefore, we can't know for a fact that it happens every time.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense, or is that a little? Did I lose you?
I think I get what you're saying, but I mean, I feel like if it's happening the majority of the time, then you can kind of make an assessment.
Well, that's the scientific consensus part. Is like we all agree this has happened so that we agree that this is what would happen all of the time if we were able to run an experiment an infinite amount of times.
Well, if you say you run an experiment 100 times, and 100 times out of 100 it happens, then I feel like it's safe to say that.
But you're saying it's safe to say, but you don't know it for a like you could do it 101 and then that 101 could be different.
Okay, but you're not gonna do an experiment once and be like, oh, yep, all right.
No, you're right. Like I'm saying, like let's say you're testing, like you're bringing what's near me, these matches, right? These stormproof matches I have, right?
Yeah.
And you test 3,000 of them,
mm-hmm.
and you find out that like 99% of them light or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can you have a scientific study to prove it. Like you did all the like you did a double-blind study. You had peer reviewed. You went through whatever.
How do you do a blind study for matches?
Double-blind study.
What?
Like you would basically have them like you have to design it, but it would just be like you wouldn't know you're getting a stormproof match, and you'd have to
because so we're the two different brands of matches is what we're saying here. We're not just
this is
we're not just saying matches in general. Gotcha.
No, this is a specific stormproof match. So double blind just basically means that nobody in the experiment knows what you're doing.
I feel like someone's got to know something.
Well, that's the thing. So let's say I run the experiment, right?
Yeah.
I would assign the testers. Let's say that's you.
So the testers don't know, but you do know.
Yeah,
so you give it to the testers. The testers don't know, and the people participating don't know. But you know.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So that way there's no way anybody can because the theory being if you were to know that the stormproof matches were, match A.
Right.
Then either cognitively or subconsciously you could basically do something to alter the results. So if you don't know and the participant doesn't know, then there's no way there can be any bias.
Right.
So that's why that's just a double blind study. The matches weren't a great example, but the point being is that I guess what I'm trying to say.
Matches aren't a good example either because with matches, you can have a faulty match. You can have a faulty you can have a faulty product.
I mean, what's something that is like the scientific consensus is that it is true.
I don't know. That's a very broad question.
Okay, let's say that something that happens in nature, I don't know. I really am struggling to think of an example, but I mean, you could use something as simple as on a chemical level,
right?
Where you're
why don't you use a penny for an example? Heads or tails?
Right. Okay, you know what? That could work. Basically, it's it should be 50-50, but the odds are it happens, whatever. But it goes essentially, you could flip that coin 100 times, and the chances it comes out 50-50 are very slim. That's
I feel like I did this in 6th grade in math class, and it was pretty close, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it's probably close, but it's not going to be exactly it. But
thinking about that was such a shitty assignment. Why? What was that proving? Anyways.
You probably were learning probability. That's what I was thinking.
Maybe in 6th grade. Maybe.
Yeah, probabilities. You have a 1 in 4 chance.
Right. I feel like there's so much better stuff you could do than take a whole math class to record data on a penny being flipped 100 times.
I feel like that's just one of those lesson days. It's
they're I got nothing, but we got some pennies.
We got some. Do you remember when you would be in elementary school and part of the curriculum would be that you had to go out and buy fake coins to use in class?
No, that was a thing?
You don't remember? You ever had to do that?
No, they made you do that? Who made you do this?
We had to get fake coins to bring into class. They would send you a thing, and it's how do you learn math? and we would use the fake coins instead of having to use real coins. So every kid would come in with like a bag that had like a bunch of like fake quarters and fake dimes and fake nickels and pennies.
I think our classroom just had those.
But this is what's mind boggling. We're in the same second class, so I know you had to do. I had to do it.
This was second grade.
I think it was early. Maybe it was third.
I was gonna say I really feel like if something like that happened, they were just in the classroom already.
No, I know that it was. Like, there were things that were inside the classroom, but I feel like they wanted you to bring your own.
I don't know. Maybe I just didn't. It's just so far back now that I don't remember. But that's kind of a thing now with education. A lot of teachers are having to buy their own supplies now, and that's just kind of that doesn't sit right with me.
It is weird because you would never have to do that for anything else.
Right.
But I mean, you have to do that as a student. But I mean,
yeah, but is that teacher's like buying it for a full class, not just one person.
No, I get that, but I mean, like,
and it's coming out of their pocket.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like that is something that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
like
I don't know. It doesn't really sit right with me.
But I mean, like, I have a mom who's a teacher, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like she's never really had to like do that stuff.
Right.
From the best of my knowledge, because our school system is pretty accommodating.
Yeah.
But like, I know that like for a fact, like there are like moments where she has students who like obviously like may have some financial difficulties, and they're hard for them to come up with stuff, and she will like go out of her way to make sure like that they have like their stuff for classes.
Yeah. That's her going above and beyond in her job, though. You know,
it's weird because
a teacher doesn't have to do that, but a teacher who really cares about their job is going to do that.
It's weird because teaching is such a like to be a teacher and like do your job.
Right.
I feel like isn't like like in and of itself is not hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be a public educator and like show up in the have a like all that stuff, like that's no more difficult than another job.
Yeah.
Where being a teacher really differentiates is once you start really trying to just go above a base level. Where like when you start like focusing on individual students and you start taking efforts to like integrate your classroom into the community or into like the school community at the very least, and you start becoming a public figure, like, you know, like we all have those teachers from high school, middle school who we just remember.
That's
like,
what I was just thinking.
There was something about them.
There was only a couple of teachers throughout my schooling where I thought to myself that this teacher really actually had some sort of an impact, like a lasting impact on my life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that should be more often. Like I'll say my Spanish teacher, sophomore year of high school, he had like he genuinely loved his job, and you can tell he did because he loved spending time with his students. Mm-hmm. Like his classroom was full before school, his classroom was full during lunch, his classroom was full after school. He was a coach of a sports team, I can't remember which, but you know, he just loved his job. He loved teaching, and he just loved being around kids. And I feel like a lot of teachers that you don't get that. It may not be true. They may actually love their job, but sometimes it doesn't come off like they do.
I feel like that's just probably in the way that people teach, because like there are some teachers who are probably no nonsense, and they're like that because they feel like this is how I can best educate students, is to teach like this.
Right. But then there's some teachers that are just not good teachers in general, though.
Yeah, but I always hate that. Like there's just gonna be shitty people at anything. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like sometimes, like I remember we go to McDonald's and there's like this one older lady who she was the balls, man. She fucking, you would go in there and she would like ask her questions. You're like, yo, what's fresh today? And she'd be like, listen, like, you know, like the hash browns, they're gonna take 5-10 minutes. Let's get you something that's going to take about the same time. How about you try one of our steak, eggs, and cheeses? And I'm like, I don't know about a steak, egg, and cheese, Wendy. And she was like, no, listen, I'll make it for you right now. And I'm like, all right, perfect. Give her the $6.
No. I will make this for you.
That started it. Dude, I remember there was a period of my life for a year where, like, once a week I would eat a McDonald's steak and cheese. McDonald's steak and cheese on a bagel. Fucking, it was the great. I remember the first time I got it, I had to get.
I didn't know that was a thing until this moment right now.
Dude, it changed my life. I walked in there. I got a steak and egg and cheese, no cheese on a bagel. Ate it. I was like, holy fuck! Like it's delicious. Like, cause she literally had made it fresh. Like, I mean, obviously it's McDonald's, so it wasn't fresh, but I had eaten it, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is really good. So I went up and got another one, and it was just one of those things. Hang out with a couple of friends, be like, let's go to McDonald's for breakfast. Fuck it, and that's what we would do. That's how we would kill our. Cause I always wake up early, dog. Like I wake up at like 7 or 8.
Yeah, dog. Yeah.
Like, yeah, dog. I don't know why I said dog. I don't know why I turned into Randy Jackson.
Oh, no.
But no, I mean, I just always wake up early. That's just the way. I would always fall asleep early, but that's just that I would be up at 7 or 8 on like a Friday when no one else is conscious. But yeah,
that was always the thing at sleepovers. Like it would be like me, you, and Andrew having a sleepover, and Andrew and I would be up till like 3 in the morning, and you passed out at like 9 o'clock, and then by the time we go to bed, you're waking up.
Yeah, so it was a really bad cycle. Like I would just do shit. I remember when it also, this is a weird thing. It's weird how gay sleepover sounds now, and not that gay means home.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But it's like, I remember being 7 and like wanting to sleep over somebody's house, and that just sounding so cool. And then
nowadays it's like, sup, bro, want to have a sleepover? And it's like,
but I just remember at one point it was like, I think it was like probably right around when I started college, and we came back home. And I was just like, the last thing I want to do is sleep over somebody else's.
I want my own
That's
bed.
Like the last thing I want to do. I'm like, I'd rather drive home at 4 in the morning, like hungover, than have to sleep on someone's fucking dirty couch, wake up, not know where I am, have to like ask to go to the fridge. Like, I want to wake up, just roll out of bed, get up, walk into my own kitchen, make my own coffee, make my own breakfast, watch TV. Like, that's what I want to do.
It's hard to make yourself comfortable at someone else's house.
Yeah, because even as I got really comfortable at some other people's houses, it was always like, there was always that moment where you wake up and no one else is really up and you don't know what to do.
Exactly. And you don't want to make yourself too comfortable in someone else's home either.
No. Yeah, you're right. Like, you don't want to go in there and start opening the fridge when it's not but like, I was always lucky. Like, I had friends that I had for a long time, so like, by the time we started,
when those people are like out of something, it's like, bitch, you don't live here.
Yeah. What always was weird for me is when other people would like order food at their houses, because I would always get so opinionated, but I couldn't
say anything,
like impose my will. Because they were like, we're thinking about getting Chinese food, and I would want to be like, oh my god, okay, we need wontons, we need lo mein, we need chicken tenders, and then we also need General Tso's for this to be an effective meal. And they'd be like, I think we want the shrimp chow mein. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I've ordered everything from this Chinese restaurant. Like, I know exactly what to get. And I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't like go into it. Like, they could be like, Chris, what do you think? I'll be like, listen, fuckos. Like, you need to revamp what the hell you are doing here, because you need to get the General Tso's over here, then you need the sesame combo, so you get 2 things of rice and you get the spring roll. Dude, I would work those Chinese places. I swear to God.
Oh yeah, you're turning into an expert of a lot of things here. You're a resident Chinese food expert now too.
Listen, when I would order Chinese food, I knew that you got the combo meals, because the combo meals came with the rice and the lo mein. If you were ordering, you could just basically switch out for stuff. So what you do is you would get the lo mein, and instead of getting a side of rice, you get a side of lo mein. So you'd basically get a quart of lo mein with an egg roll for like $6.75.
Yeah.
So then there's your lo mein that you split among everybody. Then everyone got their own little thing that came with a side of rice and then an egg roll. And then you had a big platter of lo mein in the middle, and you could get 3 people well fed for $20.
You know what else is really good at those places? Have you ever had those, like, I don't know what you would call them. They were like chips essentially. They would usually have at the front counter, and
I know exactly.
And they came with that sauce.
It was with duck sauce, and what they were is they were fried wonton, no filling.
Yeah.
That's what they were. It was basically like they took like a wonton, like a fried wonton.
It kind of looked like a Frito.
Oh, that's an interesting. It looked like a puff Frito.
Yeah.
If you were to take a Frito and inject it with fucking pressurized air, so it like bubbled up.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Those were so good.
No, but you're right. Yeah, you threw that in some, because you ate those while you were waiting. Sometimes they switched.
Also,
they
if you got
powdered sugar on them.
I was gonna say, also if you get the sugar rolls.
the little sugar donuts. I actually was never big on those because
Oh my
I would
God!
always fool myself.
When I was a little kid, I remember talking to Mike about this. So he'll appreciate this story. When I was a little kid, there was a buffet, somewhat close to my house,
Mhm.
and and
I'm well
whenever
aware of that buffet. I said, oh yeah, I'm a dragon. It upsets me every day. There's a direct correlation to me getting skinnier and that place closing. There's like a direct correlation. Like their business was great, great, great. I started wrestling, didn't go there for 3 months. The business staggered. I got off wrestling, started going there again for the lunch buffet.
you walk in there, and they're like, "Ooh, you better get ready on the food back there,
dude.
We're gonna be busy. This kid's here today. Let's go.
Listen,
Fat boy's here."
let me say something about Chinese buffets. Like,
hold on. Let me just finish the story real quick.
All right, fine. Go ahead.
So when I was a little kid, and I went to this buffet, they had the sugar donuts, and
right.
sometimes I'd be full, but I'd go up, and I'd take like 2 or 3 of those sugar things, and I'd stick them in my pocket.
Yeah, pocket them. That was all like the lint and shit, like all like old fucking your gross little kid hands with the soda and shit on there, just lining it with little powder.
And I would just like take the little, you know, and they're sugary too, so they're messy, and then just pocket them, and I just pocket them, and just save them for later. Take them out of my pocket, eat them up.
It always blew my mind that was a business model.
Yeah.
Like so like it really did. It was like we can charge people like that place was $5.95 lunch special.
Yeah.
Which meant 2 things. 1, nothing was fresh.
Yeah.
Nothing in there you were gonna eat was made that day.
Yeah.
Unless you went for dinner and they ran out of something and they had to make it on the fly. That was the only way you were getting something fresh.
Also, it wasn't sanitary either. I don't know how many times I would be up at the buffet, and I would see an employee restocking their supply.
Yeah.
And they would just drop something on the ground and pick it up and put it back in the thing. And I mean, I guess it kind of says a little something about me that I would walk over and just pick up the tongs and just put it on my plate, even after witnessing something like that.
The hilarious thing about that, and that's what I was gonna say, it's like you need to just be good enough that no one question. Like you need to just be good enough that like people are like, okay, I understand this is gross, but like
we're all, but everyone in here, no one in here is gonna judge me because they're all doing it too.
Dude, one of my favorite things I used to do, actually, and I'm going to read one for you, is if you go and read the reviews of this place, because you can, like, for some reason, like, there's a review here from 2016 from a guy from Maine, and I don't know, but he wrote 7 paragraphs.
Jesus.
This is the opening line. Prepare yourself for an uncomfortable gastric wonderland. The Dragon is probably toward the top of my list of most unappealing Chinese restaurants ever. Oh, they went to for a school-related event. This is not good. Oh, I'm reading this, and they're literally like, this place needs to be shut down.
That place used to have like, that place like had the same furniture in it from start to end. Like it was the same, like pale green, disgusting booths and chairs and tables that were in there from the start to the finish of that restaurant.
I'm gonna read you one more review because it's so funny.
Yeah.
Someone just wrote one paragraph and they just wrote, "This is the worst buffet I've ever been to. The food had the consistency I spun, then dipped in caramel.
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit there. You want to restart that?
Oh yeah. So this is the worst buffet I've ever been to. The food had the consistency of a dry sponge if it was dipped in caramel. I would never recommend anyone going here unless you love the taste of cardboard. Every bite you take is a near-death experiment. Gordon Ramsay couldn't even save this place."
What? I mean, you said dipped in caramel. Caramel's pretty good. What if you like the taste of caramel? Then would you go there?
I still went there even though nothing tasted like caramel.
When I was a little kid.
No, wait, no way.
What?
Oh, no. There was a guy here whose name was close to a friend of ours. There's no way he reviewed this. Actually.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I lost a tooth in there once.
Remember when you were a little kid and my little brother Mikey knocked your down in the basement?
Right there, guys. That tooth? Yeah, that was his little brother.
Dude, the best part about that is that we thought we found it 2 years later, and it was your dog.
We found it, and it was.
And we're like, we're putting it like back in your mouth. We're like, look, Mom, like it fits. And she goes, Colin, that's not your tooth. And she goes, What do you mean, Mom? And she goes, Colin, that's the dog's tooth. And you go, oh.
I remember.
Oh.
I remember that.
The best part about that was that like it did actually kind of fit. I remember it didn't look ridiculous. Like that's the only real part I remember. I remember how we knocked it out because we were making a YouTube video.
We were making like a little video. We were way too young. YouTube had like just started. We were never gonna.
Yeah, we were making like a sketch. We were using about, an exercise.
I had like a flip camera, and we were just being stupid. And we had this giant like the big yoga balls that they made.
Exactly.
And his little brother threw the yoga ball at me, and I had the camera. And the yoga ball hit the camera, and the camera hit my tooth, and it came right out. And
yeah, it was like half of it.
I got this glorious like chip here from it. Good. Now you guys know that I haven't gotten taken care of that one in a while. So
now you guys know that my dental hygiene is 79 par.
Hey, I brush my teeth. I brush my teeth.
You didn't specify how frequently. I just want to.
I brush my teeth once a day.
That's good. That's pretty effective.
Once a day. I will brush my teeth at night. I'll brush my teeth twice. Yeah. My teeth. I brush my teeth. No, I brush my teeth twice a day. Like, if I remember to do it in the morning. But sometimes I don't remember. I think
brushing it twice a day is excessive. I don't think you need to do that.
I don't remember to a lot of the time. But at nighttime, I definitely brush my teeth.
I basically brush my teeth when I feel they're gross.
You know what I'm bad with doing is flossing.
What I wound up doing actually, this is for anybody out there, dude, buy those little floss sticks. Yeah. Like the little like dinosaur ones.
No, yeah.
You use 2 of them, one for the top, one for the bottom. Right. They just make it so much easier.
Yeah, I just always forgot to floss. I brush my teeth, hit it with a little bit of mouthwash, we're good to go. But I always forget to floss.
Yeah, like it's a lot. I wonder.
It's a lot of hygiene.
It like isn't. It's like 10 minutes for like I know basic hygiene.
Yeah, but I'm tired. But it's also
like
bed.
But it's like people's teeth were fine. I mean, no, they weren't. They fell out of their skulls actually.
Yeah. Yep. They did.
I wonder like what
Rot
the
it away.
You really need to do is like I feel like if you brushed your teeth once a day thoroughly, with like mouthwash and floss, like you just did it at the beginning of the day. I feel like you got to be better than 80% of the general population.
Yeah.
I feel like we might be the most dental hygienic country.
Maybe.
Like
I'm trying to think. I heard some sort of a stat about dental hygiene in the U.S. and I can't remember what it was.
It's got to be pretty good because like I don't know. I just don't like. I know it obviously is not important in like England.
No, see the thing is, their dental hygiene's great, but it's their water. There's something in their water that yellows their teeth. So,
wait, really?
Yeah, I'm almost positive that's why their teeth are more yellow than ours. It's because there's something in their water that yellows their teeth.
I've never heard that before.
I'm not 100% confident, but I'm pretty confident that that's the truth.
No, that makes sense, I guess. Like, because that's the fucking country.
Yeah. No,
I mean, obviously, that's a gross generalization.
Yeah, right. But no, I really think that I don't know. Did we lose Chris?
No, I'm right here.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't know if we lost you or not. But what was I gonna say?
I don't know. We were talking about dental hygiene.
Yeah.
I mean, England, really.
Yeah. I remember. Oh my god, I saw I was scrolling through I think I was scrolling through Reddit the other day, and I saw this post, and it was this post making fun of some girl's Bumble page, and and she had a bamboo stick in her mouth, and her bio.
Which ways?
What do you mean?
Was she like biting it horizontally, or was she like ingesting it?
No. She was biting on it, and she's like, "That's not."
Okay, so it was sideways.
That's not a. No. Like she was holding it like you would hold a toothbrush.
Right, that's sideways.
Is it sideways? I don't know. Is there a proper...
I don't hold a toothbrush vertically. I hold it like horizontally, so I brush my mouth.
Like she was trying to brush the back. Oh god, don't get that. She was brushing the she was brushing like the back side teeth, like the back teeth.
Okay. So it was deep in her mouth.
Yeah. Oh, it was deep in there. Yeah,
it was basically deep I'm asking, in there. I'm basically asking if the bamboo was used for some type of like penis representative.
No, but it could have been misconstrued the way. And basically, the caption of it said, "No, this is not a blunt. That's a bamboo. That's a piece of bamboo I'm using as a toothbrush to save the environment." And apparently, I guess there's like some way to like chew on the bamboo or something, and it makes it more
like one of those dog sticks. Like like the dogs chew on like those like bones.
No, it's
and
not
it, like
that.
cleans their teeth.
It's not that.
Do you think that works for people? I would much rather do that.
Just chew on it like a piece of gum, like gum that teeth whitens or something like that.
Well, it's like if you move your mouth, that's like all gum technically is like good for it's good for your teeth. I think.
Gum.
Like the act
gum
of
is
chewing.
pretty much just like sugar.
Well, sugar free.
All right, then. What is gum exactly?
I believe gum is just like thickened sugar with something that makes it chewy. That's an awful description. I didn't bring my pack home of gum. I got a free pack and I left it at home.
But then again, you just said sugar-free gum, so like.
Well, that's just made with like, like stevia or aspartame.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, sugar-free gum is actually weird. Because if you chew it long enough, like I'll chew gum all day, and after a couple hours, the sugar-free gum like turns into like tar. I don't know that, but if you've ever chewed sugar-free enough, it'll get really sticky, and it will stop being like gum, and it'll start being like chewing like a melted Jolly Rancher.
I just don't chew gum anymore. It's just the flavor doesn't last long at all, and it's just like
no. But you know what I actually use it for? I use hunger mitigation. Like I'll chew gum aggressively when I'm hungry or after a meal to like reinforce the fact that like stop eating.
I get it. Does gum really? I don't know. I feel like gum doesn't really help me with that. I'll use the one thing I will say is if someone. I think you're echoing a little bit. Nope.
Am I?
I think it's a little bit.
Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties, folks.
But no, I think it's gone. Oh, nope, not. Anyways, so I think that what was I saying? Oh yeah. So if someone offers me a piece of gum, I'm more likely going to take that piece of gum because I feel like if someone offers me a piece of gum, they're like, "Hey, you need this."
Really, I never feel that way. I always feel like it's a.
I think you just cut out again.
Did I really?
Yeah.
I said I feel like it's a social pressure. Like you're supposed to share gum.
Oh really?
Like you just you take a gum in a public setting and somebody you should. Hey, one piece.
I guess so.
And people are just gonna say yes because it's just like the thing to do.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Like if you were to offer me a piece of gum, I may say no. But if someone like someone that you worked with or like someone that like you don't normally hang out with, to avoid being rude,
because it almost makes you weird. Like the guy who didn't want gum. That's like a story.
Yeah, it's like why are you saying no to my gum?
You're like fucking get this. I offered Colin a piece of fucking gum and he said no. And you're like, what? Why?
All of a sudden that person hates me.
Yeah, someone's like now you're the dude who doesn't chew gum.
No one ever offers me a piece of gum ever again.
You just get fired. Actually, someone.
I go to ask someone else for gum, and they're like, "Oh, you want my gum, but Susie's gum wasn't good enough for you." It's like
I feel like working in an actual office just must be brutal.
Oh God. Oh God.
Like, I can't even imagine.
Like an
I
actual
have a tough
cubicle.
Time. Yeah, like a real you have that job that they had in what's the movie with fucking Brad Pitt that I'm thinking of? Fight Club. Like where like the alternative to, I think it was Edward Norton was the actor. Like his actual, he's just like buying shit on IKEA to furnish his apartment in his cubicle. Yeah, like just that depressing.
I could just not work in a cubicle.
Although I had this discussion. I really don't think it takes that much money to be happy.
Yeah, we had this discussion.
Like as much as jobs, like a real job, like sucks. Like honestly, if you make 6 figures,
right,
and you own your house, that's really all you need. After that, everything else is kind of gravy. Do you know what I mean? Like if you make 6 figures, you can afford to pay for a house, and if you own that house, you're only really paying for utilities. So it's like to lease a car is like fairly effective. Like your kids go to public school, like you gotta buy but like you can live a pretty good life,
right?
If you have 6K and you can afford to buy your house. 6K, sorry, 6 figures.
Yeah. I know what you meant.
Well, I feel like that's where people overthink shit. Like everyone thinks like you need so much money to be financially independent. You just need to be smart and patient.
I think that more money is better than like if there's an opportunity out there to get more, then you're gonna take that opportunity.
No, you're right. Like, but there is a point where it becomes, I feel, detrimental. Where like enough money actually can start to like reduce how much you enjoy it.
I don't think
that's the case
for everybody. I think that people just enjoy a large income, just that keeps coming in, just like.
I don't think it's the income that's enjoyable. I think it's independence. I think it's like there's a certain point where you can break free from traditional roles.
I genuinely think there's some people out there who are just running up a score. Like there's people out there who at this point they're just seeing what their high score can be, you know?
No, you got a good point. Like I think of someone. Okay, I'm gonna take someone who gets a lot of hate, but Dan Bilzerian, the Instagram guy.
Okay.
Do you know who he is?
I've heard the name. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, a quick recap. Basically, he's came into money because his dad was very rich. He had trust fund. He basically tried to go into the Navy SEALs twice. He didn't do it. He made some money, or not allegedly made money from high stakes poker games, and now he's focusing on running a cannabis company.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's. But his big thing is he's on Instagram and he's always flexing weed. He's with fucking hot models. He always talks about how he bangs a lot of like he's basically one of the original social media influencer type of kid, one of the original ones, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, his whole MO is that look how sick my house is, look how sick these cars are, look how much money I have, look how much pot I'm smoking, my life is better than yours.
Mm-hmm.
But it's if he could do all that for 500,000 and that's what makes him happy, then there's no additional from going from 500,000 to 600,000. Do you know what I mean?
There's no additional what?
There's there's no greater joy from going if you can get, and that's what I'm trying to say is for what would make them happy is to have a solid wife or husband, couple of good kids, live in a good district, and own your house. After legitimately once you've done all of that, everything else you're kind of getting is extra. And so when you start,
I feel like it kind of starts to become an opinion at that point, because that might be how you feel, but then that might not be how this guy feels, you know?
No, you have a point, but I'm saying in terms of your happiness, unless you truly deviate happiness from seeing the number in your bank account go higher, then there has to be a point where
I think that correlates to something, though. I feel like the happiness isn't seeing that number keep going up. I feel like something correlates to that number going up that makes you happy. The high I feel like it's not that number alone that just keeps going up and up and up is making you happy. I feel like there's some correlation between that and something else that makes you happy. You know?
It could be respect. That might be one of the biggest things.
Respect.
It's the more money you have than the next guy means
I
you're
think
like,
some people just don't want to stop working is the other thing, and it's just a form of pride, you know.
But it's weird. But those guys
I
who
think
are
it's
on like
pride
the
is a
internet,
lot of
like
it,
they're always
or even
bragging about how
ego.
much they don't work.
I
I
think
mean, I could see that as like the pride and the ego part being like, I need to make this much more than the next guy.
right,
But I mean,
or
like,
maybe it's something to prove. Maybe you came from a family that had nothing, and now you're just out there to prove how much
how
you can
much you could
actually
get.
make, and that you never fell off and you never dropped off, you know. So I think
This
I
could
think
you're
there's a
doing it
lot.
for personal.
I think there's a lot of different factors and I feel like just because might be trying to prove something, or because you don't feel like you're happy unless you're working, things like that. I feel like they all lead to happiness, and at the end of the day, it's to what extent you're happy. Are you happy sitting at that six
Yeah,
figure salary? Then fine. But if you're not happy with that, then don't settle for that.
that's a good point. I feel like there's also a lot to be said, like with the what you talk about, like keeping on working.
Yeah.
Like I just even know for me, like this semester, for me personally, like I didn't work. Like I took some time to do some community stuff. Like I did a couple of volunteer opportunities. I worked with a basically it was an internship on campus, so it was unpaid,
Right.
but it was like basically I did it for like 3 credits, and so I did a lot of volunteer stuff. And like while it made me like intrinsically happier to do, like I doing those more than working for minimum wage.
Right.
I found that like basically like I didn't know what to do after because those didn't make me feel like those made me feel good about who I was, but they didn't make me feel like I accomplished something like the
Yeah.
way that work does. Like the best thing about whether your job sucks or not
Is
is
being
that
done with it.
is being done exactly like that feeling of like, okay, I know at 4 I'm gonna finish this shit, and then you can kind of like
And it
justify
becomes
being a piece of
psychological
shit.
at that point. If you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to work today, or I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to class today. And
Mm.
especially in that scenario of I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to class today. It's pretty psychological at that point because you have to think to yourself. You can't think, oh, I don't want to go to class today. It's gonna be a lot of work or whatever, and then just skip class because in college it is very easy to just not go to class.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's a lot of self control, and instead of thinking about it that way, you have to think about it as you gotta channel that feeling that you get once you're done with that hard work, and you gotta think, you know how good you feel after you've done this, or even working out. You get up, you don't want
No,
to
you're
work
right.
out, but then you remember how you felt after your workout yesterday, and I feel like it's a tough transition to start mentally changing the way
Thinking a
you think
different way.
about things.
I feel that's a skill that's truly not taught enough. Is that
Yeah,
like I feel like the focus is on trying to make everybody motivated
right.
the same way. Like become fired up,
Yeah,
become angry, become
not everybody gets motivation from the same thing.
right. And I think a huge skill is learning what you have. Like
Right.
let's say you're someone who just apathetic in nature. Like you just don't like to do things. Like your favorite thing is to like just hang out and do nothing, and you like to
Right.
live your life with minimum responsibilities, right?
Right.
Then clearly a motivational video by a guy talking about his struggle and whatever would not get you fired up maybe the way it would someone like me. Like I'm
Exactly.
someone who like I'm very influenced. Like my mood is very, linear, not linear. Like my mood is always changing. Like I could
Right.
watch a video and then go work out for 3 hours, or I could wake up in the morning, be like, "Oh, this kind of sucks," and then a couple hours later have a great like that's just the way I am.
Mhm.
And I'm just a more generally like the way I can motivate myself is by channeling like some type of anger. Like that's the emotion I use for motivation.
Okay.
But if you have someone who's apathetic, like their most readily available like source of motivation would be the desire to continue being apathetic.
Right. Right.
So
I
it's
feel
like
like I'm
if you can learn to
somewhere.
channel that.
I feel like I'm somewhere kind of in the middle because I don't really get motivated from like listening to a motivational speaker or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's something about that just doesn't seem. It like it's cool to listen to, but
but it doesn't resonate with you.
Yeah, but at the same time, sitting around doing nothing makes me feel awful because I didn't accomplish something. So I'm kind of somewhere in the middle where like I said, I'm kind of, trying to find my motivation, and I feel like it's channeling that feeling of success. Before you do a thing, think about how you're gonna feel after the thing, and then having that, channeling that excitement of being done and accomplishing something kind of helps me start doing that thing.
You got to use what you got.
Exactly.
That's the thing. And one of the things that I truly believe is that everyone is like good at something.
Right.
Like there's something that you do naturally that is better than most people.
Oh yeah.
And so one of the things you should try to do is figure out a way that you can use that thing you are good at to make you better at other things.
Right.
So like if you, for example, like for you, like I would say one thing that you just do well naturally, better than other people, is understand complex personal problems.
Oh,
that's something I would put on you. I would say, like, I was going to say good listener, but like,
here to hear first, ladies.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Like, Colin is very good at hearing someone's situation, kind of internalizing it, truly listening, and then giving you advice kind of on what you should do. Like, not like what you should do, but like what you could do. Like, you're very good at that. So to me, I always saw you personally, like, what could you be good at? What would utilize that skill? And I always thought some type of counselor or some type of advisor, or in a business route, some type of liaison. I always thought that would have been your better role. Something where there's no direct pressure from a higher up, but there's also enough responsibility where you need to, like, you're working with one person at a time. Like, let's say you were a counselor for people who have vision impairments, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be working with a business that's trying to sell something to somebody, so you don't have to worry about like hitting a number. Like, you would just be working with one person at a time, which I feel you're good at. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about how like that's something you're good at, how can you use that to propel yourself with other motivation? Like, let's say you want to look better physically. Like, let's say you want to start working out.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of try to take that emotion where you're like, okay, like, I'm someone who's not fired up by these speeches, but I'm also someone who doesn't like to not do anything. So what could I do to accommodate that? And you're like, okay, well, here's something I'm really good at, right? You can use what you're good at to like set a goal almost, where you're like, okay, so I'm really good at listening to other people's problems. Okay, so that means I want to set myself up for a career in counseling. So then maybe you just make a list every morning of like 2 things you can do to put yourself in a better position today than yesterday to wind up taking that position. And maybe it's something as simple as like, well, if I'm going to do this job, I have to move around a lot, so I should be in better shape. So maybe one of your things is to go for a walk. I mean, that's a huge stretch, but you can make that case to help you kind of try to get more motivated and help you do something that you can actually
whatever helps you get up and motivate you.
And another thing could be like, okay, well, I should maybe talk to someone who's in counseling. So maybe your mom has a friend or whatever who's someone who is a counselor. Maybe it's not for blind people, visually impaired rather,
but maybe a counselor in general.
Yeah, and you do that. And like setting those small daily goals is so much better and easier and less overwhelming than doing like, I want to be a vision impairment counselor by the time I'm 24.
And then just trying to tackle those things.
And then just trying to do that one thing. Because the beautiful thing about the small goals,
my theory is
that they just are easy to attain. Like, not easy to obtain, but they're obtainable within a day. Hence, they are a daily goal.
My theory is if you're working towards something, if you're working towards starting a business, or if you're working, I mean, obviously don't take my advice when it comes to starting a business. I'm 20 years old, but like if you're, I'm gonna use that as an example. If you're working towards starting a business or something like that, touch it every day. Even if it's something small, make sure you did something that day. No,
you have a great point. Like, you're right. Like, honestly, I'm trying to get better
every single day. Just do one thing, no matter how big, no matter how small. Just touch it every day.
That's a great listen. That is a great piece of advice for anybody trying to get motivated or trying to get into like some type of like fucked up porn industry. Just touch it every day. You'll only gain full control if you touch it every day. That was my middle school motto. It was touch it every day.
I think that was most guys' middle school motto.
When you wake up, when you go to bed, and then sometimes if you needed to, like, you know, get to the bathroom stall, fucking jerk off in your jeans.
Jesus.
Whatever you need to do to make it happen. No, I've never jerked off in a school.
I've barely ever. I don't have a fear of it or anything like that. It's just when it came to school, I barely ever went to the bathroom.
You know what's weird? I didn't take a shit during school hours probably till like senior.
I never did. I don't think
really. You never were in that bad of an emergency.
No, I always see the way my body works is usually around the same time every day is when it comes to knocking, and so
you have a systematic shit.
Yeah. So like for me, after school was that time. It was like get home, poop time. So I just kind of was able to get through a day without needing that.
See, my diet.
I literally
so
think I
literally
think I went to the bathroom in high school like 2 different occasions, and it was like to wash my hands or something like that. From like on a science experiment.
I would just go to the bathroom just to get up and move. Honestly. I would just do that.
I mean, yeah, I guess so, but it just wasn't worth. Like I would go get a drink of water if I needed to get up and move. Like if I felt myself kind of like starting to like either like doze off or something like that, I would go get a drink of water. I
would do it to go talk to other teachers sometimes. I would just like disappear for like 6, 7 minutes.
And then the teacher comes to find you.
Yeah, and the teacher's like, "Wait, why are you in the lit department?" I was like, I don't know. Why am I here?
I don't know. Your class sucks.
I always wished that you could do that. I always wished like it was like college where they would give you a survey at the end of the thing, because there are some teachers who have been teaching the same thing for so like the exact same syllabus year in, year out.
Yeah.
And it's like there are some classes where like if you're teaching American history is not changing.
No.
Like, you can do little things to improve your class, but if you have an effective method for teaching, then it's fine. Like, I understand. But if you're teaching, like, lit, like, you gotta do something. Like, I get everyone has to read the same books. Like, I get, like, some upper force beyond your power controls that. But you gotta do something different than write a 3-page report on why The Catcher in the Rye is relatable to high school. And everyone just writes, he's alone. And yeah, because no one actually read it.
Everyone read The Catcher in the Rye except for my class. We never got there.
That happened to me with my class read To Kill a Mockingbird. I felt like everyone else freshman year read that other book.
Well, no, we read To Kill a Mockingbird too.
Oh no! Oh, it was Shakespeare. I'm sorry. We read Romeo and Juliet, and everyone read Midsummer's Night Dream.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, we read that one. We didn't read.
I think my teacher was one of the only ones who insisted we read Romeo and Juliet.
That's
and
weird.
It was.
That was like sophomore year, I think. Yeah.
That was freshman year.
For me, it was sophomore year. I feel like. No wait.
It was freshman year for me when I read To Kill a Mockingbird and.
No, we read To Kill a Mockingbird, but I feel like A Midsummer's Night Dream was sophomore year.
That's a weird book to have kids read at 15, 16.
Well, 14, 15.
Yeah, because it's just
I liked
so.
That book.
I mean, I read half of it.
Something you just said to me, said a couple minutes ago, really resonated with me. No one in high school is actually reading those books.
Yeah, no one generally is reading accepted.
Those books. I think John Mulaney had like a thing in stand up where he's like, I got a lit major. I went to school to read books that I didn't actually read. And talking about college. Yeah. Obviously, John Mulaney delivers it a little better than I do, but
dude, I saw him down in DC, and it turns out he's a Georgetown graduate.
You saw him?
Yeah, in DC a year ago.
Oh, cool.
No, not like in person. Like I went to a show.
Well, yeah, no shit. Yeah, just like walking down the street. Hey, John Mulaney, what's up? Like, no.
This is a weird thing. Comedians are one of like an entertainment. Like they're the only people you would call by their first name that you don't really know.
What's up, John?
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I really should call him Mr. Mulaney.
What's up, Chris? It's Mr. Rock, bitch.
Yeah. Oh, we just watched that last night. Oh, you were there, right?
Yeah, I was there. I was on your couch.
I was gonna say, yeah. I was like, oh wow, Chris Rock, good for him.
No,
oh yeah, you were there for 6 hours.
Yeah, I was.
Dude, honestly, like, no one is reading those books, and it's not like I
Spark
give a
Notes
shit,
is a thing.
but it's like, then just scrap it.
Except
it's
no,
like,
but no matter what books you get, no one's reading them.
No, I understand that. So scrap it.
Scrap reading?
Not scrap reading.
I think the literature is important to know. Like, I think that book was really a really good book. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Listen. I'm not saying I disagree. I'm gonna be truthful. Say I did not read the thing cover to.
Oh yeah, I didn't read cover to cover either, but I still think it was an important thing to cover.
I don't disagree that it's an important thing to cover, but I'm saying that if it's generally accepted that like students are not reading the books, then why not just figure out a different way to teach it? And I know it's weird because like, oh, if you're gonna teach a book, you should read a book like that. I understand that, but if no one is reading the book,
I feel like instead of assigning the reading at night and then coming into class and doing the work during the day, I feel like it should be the other way around. You read it in class together and then do the work at home.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good little fix.
Just flip it, because then you know the kids are reading the book, and obviously they're gonna have to do the work to get the grade.
But even if they're not, it's like you need to go through a lot more work to fake read the book for to sit in a classroom for an hour, not read a book.
Yeah, you have no excuse. That
is pretty insane.
You have no excuse at that point, because you're gonna need to do the work to get the grade, and you're gonna need to read the book to do the work. So you can't BS your way through and go up to the nerdy kid who actually read the book in the middle of class.
Yeah, I see it. Like if you keep the books relative, like what you would do. Like here's what I think I would do. If I was, let's say I had a month to teach To Kill a Mockingbird, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would set like a page limit. So it's like, okay, so let's say the book's 300 pages even, right?
Yeah.
I would do it so it's like Monday and Tuesday. You need like Monday, Tuesday, let's say you have class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, class off, class Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, in class, like ask me questions, whatever. But you need to reach 100 pages, right?
Okay.
And then Friday is
you need to read 100 pages in high school on just one day.
No, 3 days: Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay,
you have the hour in class to read, and then whatever time you have. Then in the beginning of the week, like on Monday, you assign like.
Well, I was even saying just read the book as a whole class.
No, it's too slow. It would drive me insane. Like I read really fast. I can't keep. No offense, I can't keep. Like someone like you, like I would. By the time you're on page 10, I'm on page 4, and that's not like a knock on you. That's just
no. You just insane reader.
Yeah, like I can just I can skim read as effectively as I can normally read.
Mm-hmm.
So. That's just something that I could. So that would annoy me.
That goes to that goes to levels to classes, level 1, level 2, level 3, or advanced, intermediate, or whatever you want to call them. Like I feel like that would help with that, because I feel like if you're more of an advanced reader, you're gonna be put in an advanced class with people who are gonna read similarly to the same rate you would read.
No, you have a good point. The thing
remember
with
the DRP, the degrees of reading power test?
I remember that.
We used to do every year in elementary school
and middle school.
Did we do it in middle school too?
We did, because I remember that the last time I took it, I got a perfect score.
I never
read a book again.
I never paid attention to the scores.
I knew it was out of 1,000 points, and I remember because my mom taught at the middle school I went to. So one of the teachers had told her, like, your son had gotten a perfect score. And she's like, oh, that's fantastic. And then they told me. And I literally heard that, and I'm like, oh, so I'm a perfect reader. All right, that's it. Time to stop reading. And I don't think I ever read a book all through high school. Like, I never picked up a book and truly finished it cover to cover. I would start books.
But not finish them.
and then just not finish them.
There's only a handful of books I actually remember finishing. The only series I've ever finished reading is the Hunger Games series.
I hated those. I read the first half.
I loved the Hunger Games. That was such a good series.
But that was just who I was. Like, even
read...
back in 5th grade, I couldn't do like.
I would get bored because what I would do.
Hunger Games, so I couldn't read it.
What I would do, yeah, it's out of spite.
Yeah, like out of spite, like it was like all like the 4th graders were reading it. And I'm like, fuck that shit. I ain't gonna read that. I'm gonna read and I would read weird shit. Like I would read books that were I remember in 8th grade, I read this book called Looking for Alaska by John Green. And it wasn't like it was hard to read, but it had like this couple like sex related parts. So it was like wasn't supposed to be reading it because I didn't really like, you know what I mean? Like, but I remember there was
Did you ever read 13 Reasons Why?
No, I never watched the show either.
I didn't watch the show. I read the book in middle school because one of our friends recommended it to me. I'm not going to say what he said on camera, but he said something that sounded really convincing to me to read it. So, but I read it and I was a little disappointed. I was like, this was not great.
So let me finish the story because this is how go ahead. Perverted the mind of an 8th grader is.
Oh yeah.
Is that I remember I got that book and I read it and I got to the part, and what the part was is that the main character called Biggs or Big or whatever, because he was like a really skinny guy. It was like an oxymoron. He was gonna get a hand job from the girl, but he like didn't know how she should do it. So she showed him, Alaska showed him on a toothpaste tube. And I remember that was like one of the first.
So the girl's name was Alaska.
Yeah, she had named herself. And I remember. She
named herself?
Yeah, her parents let her choose her own name when she was 5.
That's
great. It was a good read. I'm not going to lie.
Interesting.
It was a bad book. But it was called Looking for Alaska because she eventually disappears. Not to ruin the book, but that's the plot line. And what I remember, that was like the first time I had like read about like teenagers, because like it was 8th grade, so I had like discovered at this point, like I had known that I had seen it and I had begun to use it.
Right.
But it was like that was the first time I read about like teenagers doing it, and I was like, whoa, like this is close to my age. And I remember
it's a little weird when people write about that.
Yeah, but I remember reading it over and over. I remember I read it like 7 times.
And over and over and over. Dude, until
that was it. That was the thing, is I read it so many times and I played it out in my own head. And then eventually like I just like lost it into the ether. But I remember it vividly every time I took books like that came up, and it's like that is, if I had to pick a book that had like a lasting impact on me, that one has to be it, because it was one of the first books that illustrated that like people like had sex.
I don't think I ever read any books like that. There's a couple books that I still remember to this day. Like I remember all the books that I loved reading. Like, and there was only like 5 or 6 of them. I loved obviously the Hunger Games series. I already said that. But that's the only series I ever finished, because I would try and read it back to back to back to back in a series, and eventually I would just get bored of the series, so I would stop.
Right, because it was the same thing.
Yeah, so like I read the Alex Rider books in 6th grade, and all of them kind of had the same premise to it. It's like, Alex gets called in, special agent, there's a bad guy, he ends up undercover with the bad guy, and the bad guy's dead. And next book. And it was just kind of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, you got caught in that classic story.
The one series, I think I just kind of stopped reading at this point. But the one series that I had gotten into that I wanted to keep listening to and reading, because I do a lot of audio for reading, just because I feel like I retain.
How is that, by the way?
I feel like I retain that better than I do.
I really want to try it with. I'm trying to read more as a person, like, cause I just feel like I spend too much time mindlessly, like doing YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, same.
And I was like, you know what, like, you know, I'm 20. I'm like, maybe I should make an effort to just try to read a little bit more. Like, just try to read like once a week. Make the decision to read over.
I've had that thought a couple times, never done it, but I've had that thought too.
Well, here's the thing: is that one of the books I want to read is mostly in dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like listening to it would be more beneficial than actually having to read it.
For me, the way I learn and soak in information is by listening. That's how I do it. That's how I learn best. And so listening to books for me, it helps me understand more than if I were to read it myself. So I'm a big fan of listening. So things like
I'm gonna
Audible
give it a try.
Yeah, I would definitely give it a try. I also like listening to podcasts and things like that. So I've always thought, man, why don't I put a book on like a podcast or something like that? And then I just never do.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a good idea. Like honestly, you had a good enough. Like if you went to the gym and you were just gonna walk, not run, but just walk.
Just put on a book.
Put a book on for an hour.
Yeah.
Think about it. You work like you aim to finish a book a week while walking.
Yeah. My
unless an audiobook takes 4 hours to listen to, it's 4 hours of walking you might not have done. That's a really good way to
It's funny though, because I wouldn't know what to read, because my knowledge of books, like I was about to say, the last series of books that I actually enjoyed reading was the Percy Jackson series back in 7th grade. You know, with like the lightning.
I feel like you gotta just look up something you enjoy or something you're curious. Like for me, like I'm a big Nirvana guy, right?
Yeah.
So like maybe it would be good for me to like pick a book about Nirvana, pick a book about 90s
biography or something like that.
Yeah, like I remember, like my mom got me this book a few years ago. That was all of Kurt Cobain's diaries.
I remember one time reading the D-Generation X biography.
Really? Jesus Christ! What was even in that?
Oh God, I don't remember. That was like 7th grade, something like that.
That's something. That's something
came out with
I
a
would
biography
read now to just like make fun of.
I probably don't have the book anymore because I had bought the book, but then I also listened to it audibly. It was so, oh God, I remember reading that book.
I always thought that'd be so funny if they're like getting on now, your official WWE book written by the real WWE superstar. Right? And it's like, I, John Cena, I make WWE because me very strong. Like just like written like that, and then like on the like beneath it has like author interpretation. It's like, as a young man, I always wanted to strive for perfection. Me, John Cena, and my name up in lights. It was something I always aspired to. I began lifting weights very readily. And then the next line is like, me, WWE champ, yay! It's like I had finally reached the culmination of my goals. That'd be it, dude. We should write that. We should take the dumbest WWE quotes and then fill it with like really philosophical statements underneath, and then just sell it as like what the WWE is really trying to sell you.
That'd be so funny.
Man, that shit was great. It's amazing. Wrestling, it doesn't matter who you are, what gender you even are. Like at some point in your life, you probably were into pro wrestling.
Yeah, you probably went through that phase.
Like, I've talked to girls, guys, older dads,
I only know one girl who's gone through that phase, and I think it's the same girl you know.
Who?
Brenna.
Oh, that is yeah, that is actually.
You cut out.
No, that's it. You're right. That's exactly what.
And the only reason I know is from you saying that she watched it.
Yeah, because she used to pretend to do like the Rey Mysterio shit, which I was like, yo, me too.
We used to do that.
I remember my dad got me the mask and gloves for Christmas.
I remember your mask and gloves.
The mask barely fit, and the gloves like didn't. So I remember
you had it came with pants too, but it was just the front. It was just the. It was literally like an elastic band with like the front half of like pants, and it was pants. Like, and they were like 2 plastic bags, and I remember it because it was the red, white, and blue color theme. Like it was like the American flag color theme, and it was literally just like, it was literally just felt like a plastic bag you would get at like Stop and Shop or Big
I remember putting it on and instantly feeling like I'm a WWE superstar. Like I could do. Like
and
this is.
Oh god, dude! I got Rey Mysterio's
This is where my time and energy should go. I know you did on the mask.
Yeah, because I got a Rey Mysterio mask too. Mine was probably.
Yours was like a real like mine was like one that was meant to wrestling. Yours was like one like a real fan would get.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I liked about yours is because it was more like a mask that he would actually wear, but mine was more intricate and like more of a collector's piece. And
I feel like you could sell that for a decent amount of money, honestly.
Probably. I don't know where it ended up.
I'm sure it's got to be in your room still somewhere.
I'm sure it's somewhere. I'm sure I'll have to dig it up.
I feel like you know exactly where.
I genuinely
I've
have no
seen it
clue.
in your room for like 10 years. It was in the same spot. It was on that shelf above your bed.
It wasn't above my bed. That shelf was above a desk, and that was like sophomore year of high school. My room's been rearranged like 5 times since then.
I feel like you could find it within 20 minutes of actually looking.
Maybe. I genuinely just don't know. It's not an item that I look for. So
how many? Let me put this out there. How many thumbs up? How many would it take for you to post a picture or start the next podcast with the mask on?
I might just do it.
All right, let's make it easy. If this video gets 10 likes,
that's a stretch.
Colin has to wear the Rey Mysterio mask for the entire cast.
I'm not wearing it for the entire one because that thing's really gross.
How about the first 10 minutes?
I'll wear it for the intro.
Oh, can I get a time limit?
Why do you need a time limit?
I would like a time so I can start it on my phone and I can make you stay true to it. Actually,
wait, hold on. When's the next? These go up on a Monday. Yeah, I'll be home for the next one. I don't know. Why do you need a time limit? Why can't I just do like do the intro with it?
Because I want you to get hot enough where your face starts to sweat.
That's not what I want at all. And okay. I also can't. It also has like a screen around the eyes. So
okay,
like
you're saying the intro. I'm saying 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Can we meet in the middle at 5 minutes?
How about 3?
4.
3.
4.
3.5.
I came down from 5, and you've only gone 30 seconds. Just meet me at 4.
3.5.
Meet me at 4.
3.5.
Why won't you go 4?
3.5.
4 minutes and a half.
What? What? No, 3.5.
I went up. No, I went up 4.5. Well, sorry, you lost 4.
I'm sorry, you lost the mask.
I'm sorry, you gotta do it.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'll just make a vlog with it on instead.
Okay, how about this? I'll cut you. I'm gonna cut you a deal.
All right.
Wait, a vlog? Wait a second, that's better than what I wanted to do.
But there's no time limit on the vlog.
That's fair. I will take any vlog with any time limit, even if it's only like 10 seconds.
What if I make a YouTube story?
Fine, you can do an Instagram story.
I'm not doing an Instagram story.
How funny would it be if you're scrolling through picture of a girl, picture of a girl, picture of a boyfriend, picture of a boyfriend, picture of a tree. Colin in a fucking Sorry I used your last name. My bad. I'm sorry. I had to get the full effect.
Well, I got some editing to do because you also used our hometown too.
No, I don't think I ever said our hometown.
Yeah, you did.
Did I say it like with the whole school system?
No, you said it when we were talking about the restaurant.
Oh. Might be.
Gotta get that. This is why we don't do last names. We don't do towns.
I've been pretty good though about like keeping people anonymous so far though.
Yeah.
Like I've made a conscious effort to like not like use anybody's name or like say like if I'm talking about somebody.
Yeah,
like,
you
say,
just allude to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, it's I'm on a learning.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get better, and then eventually we're gonna be perfectly symbiotic.
Yeah.
That means that we both feed off of each other.
Yeah. I know.
We're 2 living organisms that can't survive without each other.
This just got tense.
Dude, I've been thinking about this for a while, which is that like, would I want to move to LA for next summer?
Why would you move to LA?
So the internship that I am able to pursue, they do this thing where like you can go to all these different cities and essentially like you and like a handful go to a city and you wouldn't work together or really even live together, but you would just know people in the city. And some of them are outside of the Northeast. Like on the Northeast is got the internship, but they said if you're interested in this program, let us know. And I was just thinking, I'm like, if I'm gonna live somewhere different, why not live somewhere that I know I'm probably not gonna live when I'm old? Like just live somewhere totally out of the blue.
I mean, I feel like LA wouldn't be my choice if that were the case.
What would you go with?
Honestly, Portland sounds like a really cool place.
Oh, for the people, obviously no one knows. Portland is like my number one right now. Portland, Maine is where
I'm talking about Portland, Oregon.
Oh, I thought you were talking because Portland, Maine is my number one in the Northeast that I picked. Actually, no, it was my number two. Boston was my number one. Portland was number two, and then I think I went New York number three.
Yeah, I think.
But like, I really don't want to be in. I don't really want to be in New York. However, like if I wound up in New York, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah.
But no, West Coast. To me, West Coast is cool because like here's the thing.
I wouldn't want to live on the West
Coast.
But it'd be cool to experience.
Exactly. 12 weeks. Like for me, like a big thing is like comedy. Like if I was to live near like a place like the Comedy Store, like where I could like go on the weekends and just like be in my element, I would be so like that's something I could never get to, and something I could do every single like weekend.
There's just something that's unappealing about LA for me, and
I think it's how many people are there. It's so densely populated.
I don't even think that's it.
So like one of the worst pits of humanity.
I've never something about LA that just doesn't seem appealing to me. But there's one thing. There's one specific thing about LA that I'm not going to go into.
There's one specific college.
Two specific things in LA.
I said one specific college.
I said two specific things.
Things. For me, there's only one thing that's in California now, baby.
No. Anyways,
dude.
Moving on. You know?
What were we going to say?
I don't know. I was going to get off of that topic.
Just get off of there real quick. But I just feel like, I don't know. Out of all the cities I could live in, Boston's my number one. But LA to me is like, I could see myself living in Boston.
Right.
Like LA, I could kind of never really see myself.
What about somewhere in like Texas?
I've thought about that, but
like,
I really have...
Austin seems like a cool place.
Austin seems really cool, but it is very like... Yeah. No, you had a good point. I just feel like it isn't my scene. Yeah. Like, for me, the biggest reason LA, it's not even so much places like the Comedy Store, like the Laugh Factory or shit like that, where, like, I could go see some of my favorite comedians on, like, a random off night or see them, like, 4 or 5 times for, like, one general admission ticket. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel like either they don't make it known that they're gonna be there that night, or like it's either gonna be a spontaneous thing or it's gonna be a planned thing, and the tickets are gonna be more expensive. Ooh, excuse me, more expensive.
I mean, sometimes, but like I know, like for instance, like I mentioned, Joe Rogan will post like on his thing. He's like, hey, like be at the Comedy Store tonight, like fucking 7 p.m. And so it's like I just would be like, oh, all right, let's go check that out. Like I don't think it's like I could fucking just
maybe not.
Google it. Like,
maybe not. Like, I'm just that's just how my mind works. Is that big celebrity means more expensive.
Like, yeah, like if I'm gonna go to the Comedy Store, right? I'm on the website, right? And it is loading, and it is taking forever to load. It's not good for us that I'm trying to be quick with this. It's really not helping my case at all. It's not really hurting it actually, but it's like okay. So if I was to go to, who is that? Is that Dane Cook on the cover? No, that's Anthony Jeselnik with a beard. What?
Dane Cook? I haven't heard that name in forever.
I saw him on a thing. Okay, so like this thing, it's Comedy Store Festival at Fonda Theater, right? Jeselnik, Burr, Eliza Schlesinger, okay, David Spade, Mark Maron. Maybe? Oh yeah, you're right.
Eliza?
Wow.
Eliza?
This event. So let's say I want to get one ticket, and then I hit next. $86.
That's not bad.
That's the VIP reserve balcony. If I just hit any ticket, oh no, it's a lot. It's like $100. Okay.
How is the VIP ticket? Wait, how is the VIP ticket less?
No. It wound up being the same, but with tax and shit.
Gotcha.
But this is my point. Is it's like I would get there and I would get to go see like Bill Burr, Anthony Justin, like David Spade, who I like. Bobby Lee, I don't mind. 4 or 5 like it's so many people for $100.
Okay,
I paid 70 because I paid $70 to just go see Bill Burr. To just Bill Burr for an hour and a half.
Why not just take a vacation there?
Because if I took a vacation there, that's gonna this is the thing.
Because that's one night. You would be there for a whole summer.
But this is the thing. When I'm there, like I don't have to spend a lot of money because this internship covers expenses. If I was taking a vacation, I'm already spending money.
Does that list of does that amount change depending on the location you go to?
The only part that changes is the housing stipend.
Okay, yeah, that's the part I'm worried about because different places, the cost of living is varies.
No, but that's why they change it. So, like for example, like if you lived in New York City, you might get a stipend closer to $2,000, where the people who are in upstate New York, they only got like $1,400.
Right. Okay.
So, but that's the thing. So let's say like I got LA. Let's say LA is an option. First of all, I haven't even really asked.
Yeah.
But I believe it is because it's in most major cities. So let's say I go to LA, and they give me $1,800 stipend, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could get a solo or get an apartment with. Like, everyone's looking for housing in LA, right?
Yeah.
Get an apartment with somebody, split it, and let's say it costs. Let's say the apartment I get $1,800 stipend, and let's say the apartment is $1,800, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna split it with somebody. So let's say we each put in $1,000 to cover like everything. That means I'm making $800 profit a month with nothing going on.
Mm-hmm.
That I can use for groceries and anything I want, on top of making over $20 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I have money to kind of burn, and it's like I feel like that would just be something I would do. Like that's something I would do. Because like, here's the thing: if I live in like Maine or in Boston or whatever, like what I would probably wind up doing is spending a lot of my money on either going to see people or spending it on when people come see me.
Right.
So it wouldn't even really be like I would be like having like using my own money. It would mostly be like, hey Colin, you're gonna come up for the weekend. Okay, I'll make sure I'll go get some beers. Or hey Colin, you're gonna come up. Let's go do this weekend. I'd spend it to go do something.
Just so you guys know, I'll be 21 this summer. So that's why he's saying that.
So that's why it's cool. No one was asking.
Well, no, we already said we were 20. So figured to clear the air,
okay, yeah.
I will be 21 in the summer.
Nobody drinks before the.
You may not have a sip of alcohol before the age of 21.
Alcohol has never pursed these dainty lips.
Nope, not at all.
Those whose lips touch alcohol will not touch mine. Quote from the Christian Temperance Union of the early 1900s.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Okay. I'll trust you.
They were like a bunch of really old, gross ladies who were like, if you drink alcohol, then you will not touch my lip. And Prohibition ended, and people were like, well, go fuck yourself, you old hags. Can you believe alcohol was banned for like 10 years?
That's crazy.
Like people, like the government was literally like, okay, booze, and the entire country was like, okay, but go fuck yourself, and just smuggled it over fucking lakes. Like that's insane. That's why it's so weird to me why like marijuana is so like it's just it has to go state by state because they literally just were like, boom, it's illegal, and then boom, it's legal again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean with alcohol, with prohibition? And it's like you would think they would just be like, okay, like it's starting to get legal. Like once Colorado fell and then like the medical thing started, I would have fuck it. Let's just make it legal, give it some time to roll out, and then like figure out a way to make it regulated.
Right.
Because I feel like you're just delaying the process. It's like, you know what I mean? Like they passed the amendment, the 21st Amendment, and it was like prohibition was over. That was it. Fucking bars were filled.
Mm-hmm.
That was a different time. Like, can you imagine that? Like having to like go to like a real speakeasy, like get into a club, you're served booze, you got to pay off cops and shit just to get a couple of drinks. Back in the 30s and shit, 20s rather, when life just fucking sucked. Can you imagine living in like 1933?
God, that'd be awful. They didn't have internet back then.
Dude, there wasn't even like football. Really wasn't a sport then.
Hey,
like there was no NFL.
The real football was a sport back then.
Like, what do you do? Like I understand. Like,
there's nothing to do. Nothing to fill today. I feel like there was I feel like I saw some stand-up bit about this, about living back then and what they did to pass the time.
It was try weird shit.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like there will never be another like like period of like Renaissance or like a period of like great
yeah.
like we're like making amazing scientific discoveries like constantly. But it's
I want to know what's I want to know what it was like when the first dude, like, you know, the first dude who discovered that, like, hey, you see that star over there? All right, now tomorrow, I want you to look where that star is, and the star's a different spot, and it's like, yeah, that's right, we're moving. And then his friend's like, shut up, you old crackhead, we're not moving. You know, like the first person to discover that the Earth was rotating. You know, they must have thought he was real Looney Tune.
That's a really passive way of fucking putting it. But yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Dude, to bring a theory that's now commonly, like, to suggest that the Earth
is flat,
moves around the sun, like, that was revolutionary. Like, that could have gotten you killed.
Yeah.
Like 500.
The fuck you mean the Earth is moving?
But like, think about this. 500 years ago, in the scheme of just the Earth's life, is nothing.
Right.
And in that time, if I was to seriously suggest that the sun was stagnant and we moved around it, I could be killed.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking ludicrous that was real. That, like, people would look at you and be like, a thought different than the one we have now? Fucking off with his head. And I was like, shit. Damn. But that's the most, like, you're right. Like that's even, like, something crazy someone suggests now. That's, like, no one believes. Like, right. Let's say, like the chemtrail thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that could easily be bullshit. And it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, in 20 years, it could come out that was real, and then we just all accept it.
Yeah.
Whereas, 20 years ago, you were laughed off of any fucking conversation.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about that shit. Like, imagine being, like, a kid back in those days.
Just what days? Like the 1300s, or like? Oh my god! When you weren't even really a kid. You were 4, and then you started working until you were 12, and then you fucked your cousin and had a baby at 13.
Yeah.
And then you were dead at 27.
Yeah.
You watched your baby get old enough to be a preteen and impregnate another cousin, and then you died.
Go work, baby. I'm dead. And then even being a kid back in the days when, like, kids were working in coal mines and shit.
Yeah, and, like, working in coal mines is a loose term for dying.
Yeah. Just
like
dying.
Just dying in coal mines, like going down there, inhaling so much coal it coats your entire lungs, coming back out and being like, "Oi, Papa, there's a wee bit of coal down there." And he goes, "Oh, you did good, Johnny. Now go with the other black lung kids." And he goes, "All right, Papa, am I going to God?" And he goes, "No, you're not, fucking Samson. You're fucking dead." I don't know why they turned fucking Scottish.
I don't know either.
I don't know why that fucking happened. But the Scottish kids in coal mines with disapproving parents. That's the main takeaway.
And then they all laughed at Billy when he went down there with a mask on.
Yeah, is it that one? It's
Turns
like
out Billy was the only one living 5 minutes later.
It's like having an umbrella as a guy.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the smart thing to do, but fuck that.
Exactly.
I'll never forget that. Like, I saw a friend of mine show up with an umbrella, and I'm like, "You fucking asshole, why do you have an umbrella?" And he goes, "Well, it's raining." And I go, "I understand that, but you're a guy. Don't have an umbrella." And he goes, "What kind of chauvinistic bullshit is this?" And I'm like, "Listen, don't. There's something about an umbrella that's just demasculating."
What about thigh-high rain boots?
Or emasculating. I'm sorry, not demasculating. Say again?
Thigh-high rain boots?
Oh my god. Any guy who wears rain boots as opposed to just regular, that fucking like, it's like, you don't need to be the manliest motherfucker in the world, but if you're wearing yellow rain boots and you have a little umbrella and a scarf, like, you deserve to get the
Hey, but what if your folks bought them for you?
Dude, I don't care. It's like, I don't know why, but seeing guys with scarves fucking pisses me off. It's like, you don't...
What about guys with nautical flags that spell out their name on their wall?
Colin, there's a whole litany of fucking shit that makes me want to just strangle my... Let's not get specific. Let's just talk about the general. I'm not saying you need to be macho. I'm not saying I'm a manly fucking man. Like, I'm not. But like, there's some general principles as a guy that you should uphold. One of them is no fucking umbrellas. The second one is you don't wear fucking little rain boots unless you're working out in a field. And the third thing is you don't wear a fucking scarf unless you're going to the Arctic. Like, don't. It's 30 degrees out. You're in Connecticut. Like, you don't need a fucking scarf. Like, you just don't.
Chris's hot takes on what makes you a man.
Yeah. Know what else makes you? Know what else doesn't make you a man? Like, if you do this, then you probably aren't a man. Like, legitimately, if you partake in this, you're not a man. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Are you sure you can handle this? Because this is a hot take. This is something a fair amount of...
You cut out there. You cut out there.
Oh, did I cut out? I said this is something a fair amount of guys. And if you do this, you're probably not a real man.
Alright, what is it?
What I am trying to get across to you...
This Mr. is Chris's opinion. And only his opinion, not the opinion of everybody on the show. Okay, go ahead.
My honest to God opinion is that if you don't do physical activity, you're... Like, genuinely.
Physical
There's
activity?
no way, if you don't have enough respect for yourself to make a conscious effort every day to do something physically active for the point of trying to, like, be physically active, then I don't think you're a man. Because no fucking man can be content with sitting there and doing nothing without, like I don't know. Like, to me personally, like, it's a you have a responsibility to uphold your body to a certain degree of functionality. And I understand not everyone needs to be ripped, not everyone needs to lift weights, not everyone has to even go to a fucking gym. But you should have enough respect for yourself where you do something physically active that makes you exert yourself in a way you wouldn't have normally done in your daily routine. That's my personal opinion.
I feel like women should do something like that as well, though.
I'm not saying it can't be approved for both, but for me, it's more of like you just have that duty to yourself. Because I feel like there's like...
I feel like any person has that duty to themselves. I don't feel like that's a trait to just men.
So maybe I would be willing to extend an olive branch and say that is a hallmark of a functional human being of society.
Why an olive branch? I'm curious.
That's just a symbol of peace, an olive branch.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's from America. Like, I don't know if it's... No, well, it's technically
from America?
It's from Greece originally, but it has to do with... I mean, do you ever learn about the olive branch petition?
Nope.
It was basically like a revolutionary or pre-revolutionary document to the English that's like, listen, like, you want us to be a part of you, we don't want to be a part, here's a way we can meet in the middle. And then the King of England was like, go fuck yourself.
I always wondered how they taught the American Revolution over in the UK.
They probably just gloss over it. Like,
I was gonna say, I wonder if they talk about it the same. Like, obviously they don't talk about it with the same pride that Americans probably talk about it with.
No.
I
think I have heard that they teach it very like they basically say like, well, America wanted to be free, we wanted to keep them, but we didn't want it that bad, so we kind of let them be free. That's what I've heard. That's the way it's taught.
That sounds about right. I also wonder how they teach the Holocaust in Germany.
I'm sure they are probably like very factual with
it. Because I know that in some European countries, it's illegal to deny that it happened. Like, you could actually get put in prison for saying it didn't happen. So it's something they don't want to forget. It's something that they want to teach their people about. And I think that's a good thing that they're like, hey, we had this history. Not necessarily the best thing that ever happened, but this is what happened back in the day here in Germany.
No, you got a good point.
You know?
You have a good point. Because I feel like that's one of the ways that, like, when we teach like the Civil War.
Right. We talk about all that stuff here.
Like,
you know, it may be a dark
There was a
patch.
point of over 100 years where we really
the color of someone's skin dictated how their life was going to be in America.
like like by law.
Yeah. Like there were actual laws.
Not like we're today, where it's kind of like it's more social. I shouldn't say it's more social, but
let's
like,
not get into race. Let's not back ourselves into a corner here. But
you know what I mean. Before the Emancipation Proclamation, could legally be owned by somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Americans learn about that in schools, and I always wondered if and how Germans learned about the Holocaust in schools. Because I'd imagine I imagine that because knowing that that's a law, that they can't deny the Holocaust and that it actually happened, that means they must talk about it. And I'm just curious to know.
I feel like they gotta go into detail, bro. Like they have to,
right?
They have to really be like, listen, like this is gonna be uncomfortable. There may be people in your family that participate in this. We're not saying that they are bad people, even because they were doing what the majority was. We just want to teach this the way it happened.
I don't even know if I've necessarily like thought about that because that was, well, not anymore, but like
that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago.
People's grandparents were Nazis.
Yeah, exactly.
Like active Nazis, not like, you know, like.
Well, I don't know if grandparents. I think like they'd have to be.
No, think about it. My grandparents were, you know, like 10 and 12 or something like that during like the Great Depression and shit.
Yeah.
So it's like that was Great Depression was.
I feel like we're at a point now where anyone who was involved in that, is dead or is close.
Is very old.
Yeah. So like anyone who would have been a Nazi or been a World War II soldier.
But remember this, that they had all the Nazi youth programs.
Yeah.
Which would have meant like at 5 you could have been involved in a Nazi youth school, which means like if you were born in 1930, you grew up in Nazi Germany, and then it means you were like 16, 15 when World War II ended.
Right.
So you grew up with 15 years of Nazism. Yeah. And then I think if you were born in 1930, that would make you 88 right now. Like that's old, but that's not like
that's somebody's grandfather.
Walking around. That's someone's grandfather.
Yeah.
Maybe great grandfather just because people had kids.
Whereas
earlier.
with us and slavery, I feel like we're a couple, you know.
We're now nobody alive now
has owned a slave.
Could legally own somebody.
Yeah, exactly. So
you would need to be like
what I was gonna say is I feel like that's a weird thing that I never thought of before, that like we could have ancestors that actually owned slaves. But now that I think about it, like it's even more messed up that someone may have a grandfather out there who legitimately was killing someone because of their religion.
Well, I remember that was the thing, like during the civil rights movement between like the 50s and more heavily into the 60s. It's like, you know, if you were 20, you could have a grandpa who was alive who remembered what it was like to own slaves.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like until you break that generational where there's no more anecdotal fucking evidence really from that time period, that's when you can really start to make some strides.
Right.
But I feel like it was a haze, because you got to remember that, like, I feel like even though the German people knew what was going on, no one knew the whole extent. No one knew. Yeah,
because
like,
you think
just how
it's weird, because you would think that someone would have been like, hey, like no one stopped to think like, hey, isn't it kind of odd that we're imprisoning a whole sect of people? And
well, you gotta remember how them? Like effective.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like, you do.
Really convincing people that it was the Jewish
Hitler was a phenomenal speaker.
Yeah, they teach you that in fucking classes.
Yeah, I took a speech class senior year of high school. We watched one of Hitler's speeches, and I don't know what he was saying because I don't speak German, but it got me fired up.
That's how you motivate yourself in the morning.
Just wake up. No, that's your alarm clock. You wake up to Hitler's speech.
You wake up to the Führer. Just and you're like, yes, I'm gonna get after today.
Just goose step out of your bedroom.
Step out of your morning, hit a hail pile, and fucking go about your day.
Oh my god.
That'd be a really fucking wake up to. You just wake up to Hitler fucking screaming.
You set that as someone's ringtone on your phone. It just goes off in the middle of class.
And how funny would that be if you had like that was your ringtone, buddy? So it's like someone looks up and like, who is that? It's like, oh, it's my.
Yeah.
It's like, why is that her ringtone? Does she have a problem?
No. She's great.
No. She's fantastic. It's just that's my general feeling towards Hitler. It's like, you liked Hitler? No. Just extremely motivational, very persuasive. How funny would that be if that was like someone? They're like, what do you think about Hitler? Awful message. Incredibly effective marketing strategy. Really drove the fucking peas of the promotional mix home.
Hey, I always say that if he were to have focused his effort on rapists and pedophiles instead of Jews, he would have been an okay guy.
I like how you say I always say that. Like, this conversation has been brought
That's a thing that I've said. That's totally a thing I've said before today.
You're like that dude, like, drunk, sad in a bar, and someone's like, yeah, Hitler, and you're like, let me tell you about Hitler.
Yeah, that's totally something I've said before today.
If he just focused on rapists and pedophiles, he would have been a okay type of Johnson. You slug on fucking Anheuser fucking Busch, some fucking Budweiser product.
Think about it. Think about it. He could have been a hero. In some ways, he is a hero because he did kill Hitler.
Technically, sure.
Nah, Hitler was a pretty bad guy.
I always had a theory that that's the worst sin you could commit.
What?
Killing yourself, suicide.
Yeah.
Because you can't redeem yourself for it.
No.
Every other sin you do, you can repent. And you can, like, go to like, if you murder somebody, you can go to confession, and they're like, yo, 24 Hail Marys, 8 Alpha, whatever the fuck it is.
24 Hail Marys.
And you're good to go. You're
Sounds
clean
like
as a whistle.
Football stat.
Anyway, but, like, if you kill yourself, you can never have that moment with the priest.
I feel like it's a weakness thing, too.
Murder.
Now, granted, suicide is a very serious topic, and, it's a terrible thing that happens in this country, but to a certain extent, I feel like you do more damage by taking what people call the easy way out, which I don't think it necessarily is the easy way out. Because think about how many other people you hurt along the way. No, you're right. Like, yeah, it's a very selfish thing. Because
no, it is.
Because your problems might be solved, but think about how many other problems you just created for so many people who cared about you.
Yeah, and it's a matter of the fact that if you are suicidal, you're going to. It's like you have to you're right. You just have to remember how much it affects other people. And there's people who are like, oh well, no one cares about me, or like. You're always gonna, even if it's like, I'm not trying to be funny, but even if it's like the dude who has to come clean up your dead body, like you're ruining his day.
Yeah.
Like at the very least, think about that.
Whoever finds you, you're fucking them up for life.
That is wow. That's actually even a better point. I remember
they're the most fucked up.
Yeah, I remember when like we were joking about it one day. Like I had made a joke, like, oh, I'll just kill myself, and someone said to me, they were like, if I actually found you dead, I'd be so fucking mad at you.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good friend.
Yeah.
Like that's a real friend.
Right.
Because that's how you should feel. Like that's but it is weird that is like something that does happen so often.
I know. It's such a sad thing. It's such a sad thing because I can't even comprehend what goes through someone's head that the only thing that would give them some sort of relief is dying. You gotta be in such a dark place, and I just can't comprehend. I can't comprehend that, and it's just so sad to know that that's where some people are, and if you're there, please get help. Don't.
Just think about it. Think about all the people that have just awful lives that don't kill themselves.
Yeah. Exactly.
Think about like all the people that are like lost 2 fucking limbs, people born without full vision, people a full hearing, people who've lost
I thought you were about to start taking a dig at me there, and I was like, where are we going?
No, I'm just saying, like there are people born with real challenges.
Yeah.
Like, wake up every day that it's like
you gotta find the bright side of things, you know? There's always
dude, having a good life, I honestly don't think is that hard. You really need like 3 friends and enough money where you can afford to go out to eat twice a week. That's it. I think,
and a significant other.
No, I don't even think you really need that.
No,
I think it's important. I think it's important, but I don't. I think if you can, I think you can have real companionship with your friends, and if you can just subvert your sexual needs to something, then that you could still be totally happy.
Maybe.
I think you can choose to take on that, and I think that's more personal.
Yeah.
Because I think there are some people that are wired more where that's what they want is like a wife or a husband. Whereas there's some people where they want it as a means for something else.
I just feel like we're all built that way.
No, we're all built to reproduce.
Yeah, like we're all built.
We're systematically programmed, if you will, to get married. But really, the urge is to produce, and it's more acceptable to produce with a significant other than it is with a stranger.
Right.
I was just thinking about this today, like God's honest truth, about how basically, like, if the only real thing we as humans have to do is reproduce. Mm-hmm. That's the only real thing we have to do.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that, like, because, you know, you want someone to live on your, like you know, that is going to be, like, when you're gone, that person that you create.
That's essentially your memory.
Yeah.
You live on through the people you create.
Yeah.
And the people you impact. And there's really, in theory, no one you impact more than your kids.
Right. Exactly. I love how we went from talking about Hitler to suicide to this.
Yeah, really, Delinda, you really gotta, you viewers, you guys are in for a treat. You guys really
get
the.
This is also probably really long. This is a really long.
Yeah, I like how you said it's gonna be like an hour, too.
I think we might even be longer than that. But congratulations to Optic Gaming on winning the first Call of Duty event of the year.
Oh, thank fuck! I was pulling for like you wouldn't believe. I can't even like make a joke.
I just saw it pop up.
Oh, you just got like a little notification.
I just saw it on Twitter. It's like Optic Gaming won. It's like, oh, cool.
What do you think about that? Such a cool frontier to be on, though. Sorry for the yawn. But, like, that is such a cool frontier to be on. Like, that's, like, one of the last, like, new sports that'll be around a while. Like,
I don't think it'll be one of the last. I don't think it's one of the last. I think there will always be some sort of innovation.
What else is there, though?
I think, like, I don't know. I think it hasn't been invented yet, but I think it'll come. Something will come eventually. But
think about it. There's been 4 staple sports in America since the 60s.
Yeah.
Soccer's trying to break in. But soccer, even though like the MSO. Wait, what is it? The MLS, rather. Sorry.
Major Soccer League.
Major Soccer League. The MLS, rather. Like it's already like you weren't reinventing. Like you weren't starting from scratch. Like there were people who like wanted to like franchise it out. But it's like esports. It was literally like here's this thing and that could be a sport.
I see with esports. You know, I've always had this passion for video games, and I've always kind of followed the scene. I've been watching YouTube videos since the beginning of the gaming scene. You know, back in the day when people just started uploading commentaries to their videos. You know, when they just started adding that sort of stuff in. Back in the end of Modern Warfare 2 is when I started watching YouTube, and that was kind of the beginning of the revolution. Now I'm not saying there weren't people in the before that, you know, because there was a lot of people back in COD 4, who were uploading montages, who were uploading these awesome clips, but weren't adding any commentary to it. And then it evolved to adding the commentary, and it becoming more about the tips on how to be better at the game. And then it became more about the person. And then after that, it evolved and it became more competitive. And watching the scene kind of grow from there, and it always kind of had a competitive, like from I think they were even having tournaments in Call of Duty too. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
early on in Call of Duty they thought it was going to be a popular thing. And I can really only speak for Call of Duty because it's the only sport I know very well. I don't really know too much about the Counter-Strike scene or the League of Legends scene or Dota or Smite or anything like that. I don't really know about those scenes
Right.
as much. But Call of Duty has been trying to be competitive since the beginning. And they really started to make it work in Black Ops 2. That was like the peak of Call of Duty thus far. They had such a great viewership. They were having really good competitions. The game played really well. Probably one of my favorite Call of Duty is Black Ops 2.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would agree.
And it was just so smooth. And then the way Optic kind of brought attention to the scene was awesome because they had guys like Nadeshot who was as well as being a pro on the Call of Duty scene. He was a personality on Twitch and he was live streaming every day. And then Scumpy joined in and the whole Optic team at that point kind of became they became personalities on Twitch and it grew the scene that way because people started watching them as a person and learned about this in online gaming community and or not this online gaming community, this competitive gaming community, and a lot more competitors in esports started to become stream personalities and start streaming more and make themselves more available to the audience. And it just kind of grew these large fan bases. Like Optic has like a giant fan base they call the Green Wall, and there's only like 3 or 4 teams in Call of Duty that really have that big fan base. But it's because they have names and personalities, and you don't really see like you don't really see like a Leo Messi or something like that. You know, you've got lots of Leo Messi fanboys, but he's not like sitting in a Twitch chat like talking to his fans directly as he's competing, you know? Like it doesn't offer that level of connection. It just naturally.
No, you follow him on Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah. And he may interact with you there. But I'm just using Messi as an example of just like, you know the common athlete. Whereas with esports, they can make themselves as available as they want to their fans. And I think that level of
it's really like friendship in a way.
Yeah, it's really
like
cool.
Think about it, you see them almost every day.
Yeah.
You go out of your way.
It's kind of a weird dynamic though, because you know everything about this person. You know where their favorite foods. You know
their girlfriends,
their mothers, their siblings. You know all of this stuff about them. You know their childhood stories. But they know nothing about you. And I've heard YouTubers talk about this before, and it's like, it's weird because I see these numbers on the screen and every one of these numbers is a person. But all of you have this one-way connection to me where you know everything about me. And they talk about how it's weird because like I want to learn about you guys, but there's so many of you guys to learn about. And through this popularity of YouTubers and things like that, we're starting to see. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
no, you're good.
Now you see like esports on ESPN. Like ESPN has the Overwatch League now, and League of Legends is also on ESPN. You're starting to see franchising in esports. Overwatch and League of Legends have franchising now, where they buy into the leagues and things like that, and they also have like their regions now. So like the teams are in specific places. Like Optic Gaming has a team in the Overwatch League called the Houston Outlaws. So and there's another team that's like the Dallas Fuel, and there's a New York team and a Boston team. There's a London team. So like they're starting to become regionally based teams now, which is an interesting thing because before it was just Optic Gaming is just Optic Gaming. It's not like Houston Optic or something like that.
Oh yeah,
So
it's not like
it becomes it's kind of cool that you can say that you're from Houston and that the Outlaws represent Houston. That's kind of a cool thing. But it's also cool to say that you're a member of the Green Wall because and you can say that and someone halfway across the world can also say that. I'm just using Optic because they're probably one of the larger teams that
Oh yeah, they gotta be
in the Call of Duty space at least. And
I'd
so
agree.
and so you know, it's kind of cool to say that you belong to a certain place, but at the same time it's also kind of cool to have fans all over the world.
Yeah, we support you.
It's so interesting to see video games start to make their way very slowly, but they're starting to make their way into like mainstream entertainment. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's starting to become part of like everyday life. Kids like
You break
become more and more. Oh, I was gonna say it's interesting because people like us are becoming the general population.
Yeah.
Which means like video games is something we more want to see of, and so eventually like the market is going to be tipped where people are going to want to see things like Call of Duty, possibly as opposed to traditional sports.
Yeah.
And that might be further down the line, but it is a weird thing. One day we could be talking to our grandkids about, Optics legendary days back in, 2027.
Yeah.
The way that we talk about, like the Yankees with Babe Ruth.
Yeah. It's really crazy to see this movement, I guess you could call it, for esports to become more mainstream. And I mean, they just sell out big venues. They really do.
No, that's the thing is like people will actually go see it. Like that's I feel like would be the biggest critique would be like, oh, well, who would actually come see this or who would pay to watch it?
The atmosphere at those events are insane.
No, they are. I remember even just watching like the old when like JJ would play Simon in FIFA when they do the old FIFA tournaments.
Yeah.
Like it would be a crowd of like 1,000 people, like all really into it.
Yeah, the FIFA scene is just getting started now.
Yeah, especially with all the not Champions League, Weekend League.
Yeah, but basically like Roma has like an esports division now. Like they're starting to get to that point where they're sponsoring players for tournaments, and so they're just kind of growing now. I think City has a few players, something like that. I think even like #United has like an esports division now. It's pretty interesting.
I just always wonder if it will wind up being an official league, like where people look at it and they are like, okay, like this is a real. Because I feel like now it's still viewed as like
I feel like sports games are hard. Like the NBA, every NBA team has an E-League team now. So basically, like the Boston Celtics gaming team would go up against like the New York Knicks gaming team, and
right.
Like it's kind of like pro clubs in NHL where like you control one player, your teammate controls another. So there's literally like it's 5v5, and they're literally just playing basketball as sorry about that. They're literally just playing basketball as just in video game form. And it's like, why would I watch this when I can go watch regular basketball?
But I always thought like that argument was weird because it's like, it kind of still is basketball.
Yeah, but
like at the essence, it really isn't that different. But at the essence, it really isn't that different.
Right.
Like it is different because it's 5 as people eventually versus 1. But when you see some of the pro clubs where it's 5v5 versus where it's 5v5, where it's like 5 individual players versus another 5 individual players, like that actually isn't the most uninteresting thing to watch.
No, it's just.
I'm someone who's played basketball.
It's just a weird concept that you're watching somebody play a video game of a real sport.
Yes, that is a weird thing for people to get over.
Yeah.
Like, why would you play the sport yourself?
That's what I'm getting at. It's just interesting.
No, it really is. I think the sport video games will never take off personally.
Yeah, I think it'll be more like League of Legends, Call of Duty,
Overwatch. Yeah, games where like you
Smite.
Can't do it in real life.
Yeah. The only thing that holds me back from thinking that Call of Duty and Counter-Strike are going to be more popular is the fact that you're killing people. But I don't know. Like I feel like that like in today's world, I just feel like that's gonna have a harder time hitting mainstream. But
I just
feel
like
the
value of it is too high to pass up. Like there's too much upside.
I just feel like like it'll never be on ESPN because like Disney owns ESPN, and I feel like Disney can't really have people murdering each other in video game form because I feel like it sends a bad message to their audience. But I mean,
doesn't Disney produce Final Fantasy?
I don't think so.
The video game series? I thought they had a hand in that.
I don't know.
Because that's I mean, it's not a violent video game, but it's people killing each other.
Yeah, it's a fighting game.
Kingdom Hearts. Looks like it's part of Disney.
Okay. I don't know much about Kingdom Hearts.
I played the game once on the PS2. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
But it's basically, it says Kingdom Hearts is Disney and Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good stopping point. We definitely hit over an hour on the first episode of Googus and Friends. Don't expect every episode to be this long. We just kind of rambled. I don't even know. We talked about so much. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I think we're gonna aim to upload these on Mondays, so you guys can start your week off with some good content to listen to on whenever you want to listen to it or whatever it may be. But yeah. Do you have anything else to say, Chris?
No, I want to say I had a great time being here, and this can be something consistent that we can really start to put out. And if you guys have any like ideas or topics you want us to, even if you're someone we know, talking to you, Mike and Andy, throw it out there, and we'll be sure to like talk about it and have people who may be better experts than Colin or I on the actual show.
Yeah, let us know in the comments or tweet at us or anything like that. If you've got any topics you would like us to cover. We'll try and film these as close to Mondays as possible, so they're more relevant. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this first episode of Googus and Friends. Peace out.